Hello, and welcome back to the first in the third series of the Ricky Gervais Show with me, Ricky Gervais, Stephen Merchant.
Hello there.
And the fool, the round-headed buffoon that is Karl Pilkington.
All right.
We've been away filming our second series of extras, leaving Karl to his own devices in a sweltering London. About a heat wave here in the capital city, haven't we, Karl?
It's been alright.
It's been up to 100 degrees, record-breaking temperatures.
Yeah.
What have you been doing, though?
Sort of enjoyed it a little bit. Was out and about.
Yeah?
Getting to see the place, having loads of walks and that. I like to have walks. You know, watching what
like
people
a dog.
are doing.
Yeah! When he jumps off the couch and starts
Exactly.
scratching against the door.
Suzanne thinks it's time.
No,
walk.
it's just good thinking time, though, isn't it? As well, having a walk. You've got no other clutter going on around you. And you just think about a lot of stuff. And, you know, like you say, with the weather being hot and stuff, a lot of insects knocking about.
Right.
So I've just been watching them.
So while we've been filming a TV show, you've been watching insects.
Yeah, just seeing, because everybody knows insects are out there, but no one's keeping an eye on them.
What are they up to? What are you worried about?
Loads of Steve, you wouldn't be laughing like that if you'd watch them, because they do some weird stuff and that, is what I mean.
What sort of stuff? Any examples?
I saw a bee have a heart attack.
You saw a bee have a heart attack.
Yeah.
How were you sure it was a heart attack?
Because what happened, I'd been
Did it clutch its chest with all 6 legs?
No,
Were there some other little bee paramedics?
No, I'd just been out in the park anyway, just looking at, you know, caterpillars knocking about, butterflies and stuff, so I was sort of aware.
So when Suzanne goes to work, she goes, Karl, don't you waste the day. Just because you don't work at the radio station anymore, I want you to do some constructive stuff. And you go, yeah, I am, yeah. And so in your head suddenly goes... And he goes out. Oh, there's a moth.
But the thing is, so I'd been in the park and I was aware of the insects that are around us more than, like, most of the time. And I come out of the park, just crossing, like, sort of a busy road and what have you, and I saw this bee to the right of me, sort of in the air, and it was a big one, and I was a bit like, oh, let's watch that. And it just fell. It fell from the air in front of me, and it was on the pavement, and I thought, oh, what's going on here? And I looked at it for a bit, and it was really still. Gave it a little kick, just to see if there was any movement. Nothing. Stone, sort of, what's the saying? Stone cold dead.
Yeah! Stone cold bee dead.
So,
yeah.
that
I like
was,
the fact that this bee suddenly saw Karl and had a heart attack.
Yeah.
It'd never seen anything that round before.
Yeah.
It just thought, it had approached him because he thought it was a sunflower.
My God, it's a giant walking orange. Every dream has come true.
no, but it just summed up life for me. I thought, that's like us, isn't it, at the end of the day? They have heart attacks, stress.
You put it down to stress, do you?
Well, it's in London, isn't it? You know, everything has stresses from living here.
And they are bald, aren't they? They've got fur all over, but they lose the...
And always overweight.
It was a fat, bald bee. Oh.
So what did you... It fell to the floor and you instantly... You just kicked it. You didn't attempt
No, I
to
waited
revive
a second and just looked at it to see if there was any, you know, leg movement or wing. And there was nothing. And then when I sort of kicked it, it was sort of hard. It had hardened already. It's just...
Rigor mortis had
set in.
Did it put you in a bad mood for the day? Because I know things like that can just send you over the edge for the day.
Death and that does a bit. Suzanne doesn't like me talking about death.
What riveting conversations do you come up with?
No, just things like one of our mates has had a baby recently, and I just was saying, oh, when that's sort of our age, we'll nearly be dead.
Think of that.
That's the first thing he says, is a new life brought into the world.
I know.
But when he's our age, we'll be dead.
Yeah.
No, it's
Maybe
weird.
they'll let you do the speech at the christening.
Yeah, it's just, you know, so like I say, just insect life and that, it's interesting.
You say it's interesting, but do you care about really finding out about them? Do you really care about what bees do or what ants do? You look at them and you make up your own world. For example, it had a heart attack, it's stress, it's overweight. You know nothing. I could probably, why don't you look something up? You know, honeybees are fascinating. You know, honeybees, they've been around making honey for 100 million years. It's incredible. Their wings beat over 11,000 times a minute.
And he's thinking, no wonder it had a heart attack.
Yeah, exactly. But they're do you know bees, like ants, are actually like specialised wasps. They're sort of developed from the same
Family.
Huh?
Family, like.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
It doesn't surprise me.
Doesn't surprise you, though. Does it interest you in any way?
Well, everything's linked to something, isn't it? It's like how they say away from monkeys and that.
Yeah.
It's all the same sort of thing.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I've been watching loads of stuff. I've been watching Ants. You mentioned Ants. I've had a lot of moths in the house. They're sort of sad.
I mean, you say it like it was a garden party.
No,
Yeah.
it's just all these things. You look at them. I mean, you go into the scientific bit saying, you know, it likes honey or whatever.
It doesn't like honey. The reason they store honey is to get them through the winter when there's not like nectar, or nectar's hard to get, and they store it. And they store too much, which is why we can skim a little bit off the top. We're like agents.
Yeah, well, but all I'm saying is I look at more about what its life is like as opposed
Well, no, you
to...
don't. You don't. You guess. You make it up. You don't look into it at all.
No, but you can. A bit of guesswork is you're pretty close to the truth most of the time.
Why? What do you mean? Well, that statement sums you up. A bit of guesswork is pretty close to the truth.
Because if you watch something long enough, is what I'm saying, you can see that it's a bit clueless. It's the same way about ants, or you know, they're hard workers and all that. I watch one; it's going back and forth all the time. They go one way and then they stop and go the other way. They try to look busy in front of the mates, but if you watch one long enough, it's back and forwards, and it's like it's done nothing there.
I'm going to carry this twig back and forth until I can knock off at 4.
There's a lot of that going on.
Is there?
Because there's not. There's none of that going on.
There is. No, like I say, the moth, depressing little sort of thing.
Why is it depressing?
Just the way it hasn't got eyes, has it? You just look at it, it doesn't know what's going on. I just don't. I think if you haven't got eyes, you shouldn't have wings.
That's a rule. If we could put that into practice, please.
That's a great rule. That's a fantastic rule, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you haven't got eyes, you shouldn't have wings.
Certainly true of people thinking of becoming an air pilot.
Ah!
You know, whilst you've been working on that, I've been travelling about a bit, just seeing the country and that. Went to Dorset, right? Nice beach there. And you know those huts you get, like a hut on the beach, and
where you get changed.
you can get changed in it, but they're better than that. It's like you can put a telly in it, sofa if you want.
Oh, you don't mean the Victorian changing huts?
Yeah,
You mean
those sort
like
of things. It's sort of bigger than that.
yeah?
And we were walking down there, and there was a really sort of big fat family in one of them. There was about 4 of them, and you could tell that they've never had a game of anything. Do you know what I mean? They just sit down there, eating ice creams, looking at the sea and what have you. And the weird thing is, the little fat kid, the youngest one, who must have been, I don't know, about 8, he was really fat to the point of you couldn't see his neck.
Yeah.
And he sat at the front of his mum and dad and his older sister. He sat there, and he had a frisbee, and I thought, look, they don't want to play with him. I mean, that's an active game to play, isn't it?
Yeah.
Frisbee. As we got closer, he was just using it to eat Maltesers out of. I just thought, even, again, you know, the one active thing he's got, he's using it to eat out of.
Yeah. Extraordinary.
And that just sums up what people are like now when it comes to keeping fit and activities.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Were you sporty, Rick?
I was, yeah. I loved it. I absolutely loved it.
Were you good at it?
I was good at some things. Was never good at rugby. Never good at cricket. Was all right at football. But those things were the more competitive things that were scary. So at my school, when you're surrounded by, like, people who the fun is hurting someone.
Well, it's weird you say it, because I remember the first day I went to play cricket, my mum said, as I was leaving, I was really excited about playing cricket, she went, be careful. I was walking across a playing field once, a cricket ball hit me on the head, I was unconscious for 2 hours. Freaked me out. On the way to play cricket, I thought, okay, always scared of the ball, because it's obviously, as you say, rock solid. I remember a couple of seasons later, I had to play rugby for the first time. As I was leaving the house, she went, be careful with rugby. I knew a kid once broke his back playing it.
I was terrified of rugby. I was terrified of
scared.
rugby.
Such a scary game.
The ball came to me, I got rid of it immediately.
It's mental.
Yeah.
I don't understand. What I remember is, I remember a teacher saying you've got to play it very carefully because you can get seriously injured, you can hurt yourself, you can be crippled for life. I remember thinking, why are we allowed to still play this game at school?
I was worried about cracking heads.
Yeah.
And a finger in the eye.
How is it not bad?
That worried me all the time, a finger in the eye.
But they removed the asbestos from schools in the 60s and 70s.
Yeah.
But rugby...
I
It's
know.
allowed to play. It's mental.
Yeah.
See, I had a mate called Mark who liked playing cricket, right? And when I used to say to my mum, "Oh, I want to go out with Mark and his dad to play cricket," and she never used to let me go. She'd go, "Oh, I prefer, you didn't." And I used to always think that, it's because it's a dangerous sport. You can get hit on the head by the ball and it's hard. Put an eye out or whatever. But it was because his dad used to drive us to the place to play cricket, and he had his eyelids were too big, so he used to have to sort of have his head right back.
Like one of those old-fashioned dolls. Where you could lean about.
They clunk back and clunk forward again.
And she didn't like me getting in a car with him.
Sorry, who is this? Whose eyelids are too big? So, growing up, you had a woman who had her head like a bag of spuds.
I didn't know her.
No, you had 2 kids at school with webbed hands and feet and big heads. Yeah. You had a pigeon chest boy.
Nowadays, you're walking around with insects and moths like something from James and the Giant Peach.
Yeah, and you had a bloke whose eyelids were too big.
One thing I've noticed, because I occasionally go to the gym, and you know those guys who work out constantly to give themselves extraordinary physiques? Just they're on the trip, they're on the weights, and they're really... I notice in the summer particularly, those guys cannot wait to get their shirts off.
Yeah.
Everywhere you see, they're walking around. If they've got a good torso, they are walking shirts off. Even, I think, if you go to nightclubs, I notice there's always one guy who's thinking, well, I have put so much work into this body, I have got to get my shirt off on the dance floor.
A vest, yeah.
And it comes straight off.
A brand new tattoo. I'm not covering that up.
Exactly.
I've paid a lot for it. Let's see it.
Yeah.
But that's what we were saying about bodies. I can't remember why we were talking about it. We've got to a point in science now that you can change your head. Right?
No, well, that doesn't make any sense at all.
It was a program it was done in the 50s or 60s where they stuck a monkey's brain on a stick and had it wired up and it still worked, right?
Right, okay.
And that was in like the 60s or
Right,
whatever.
okay. Well,
so,
to say to change your head makes no sense at all. Because if you put a different head on a different body, you're changing the body.
Yeah, I know, well that's what I'm about to say to you though.
What?
That's what I'm saying. That I'd be more confident if I had someone else's body, because if anyone dissed it, I can go, no, it's bad, innit? But it's
What
not
are you
mine.
talking about?
Well, it's like, say,
As opposed to someone else's head?
yeah. Well,
What,
it
you'd
wouldn't be me, would it? The head is me.
Well, of course it is. That's what I mean.
Yeah,
So
the
what do you
head's
mean?
me.
You'd be happier having someone else's body? What, than your own?
What I mean is, say if you're wandering about, for some reason, there's an incident. You have to take your top off and that, and everyone's looking at you, right? And you're a bit sort of, you haven't got the muscles and that, you haven't got the 6-pack.
Right.
Which isn't that nice anyway. I don't know why that's become a nice thing, really, seeing the insides of you. You might as well... I mean, I know I came up with the see-through skin idea, but it's a bit weird, isn't it? You can see stuff.
No, it's the muscle in front of the...
No, it's not. Sometimes
is.
you can
It's
see
not the-
It's
like,
not the
tubes.
outline of your
No,
organs.
you can't see tubes.
You can see tubes and veins and stuff.
Well, you can see veins.
Yeah, well, I don't want to see that. That's why we've got skin over it. Is
Well,
what
stop
I mean.
looking at naked men, then.
Why
No,
you
but
keep-
sometimes you can't help it because it's been hot, and like you say, there's people walking about with vests on and that. So anyway, what I'm saying is, say if some incident happened, I'm walking about with my top off.
Right.
Girls are laughing at me, right?
Why?
Dunno, they might.
Yeah, go on. So they wouldn't look at your body, they'd all look at your head.
So what I mean is,
Yeah.
rewind that, right, and imagine all that happens again, but I've got someone else's body.
Right.
Whose body?
Just some fella who's died, and my body was injured, and they said, we've got a new body in. You can
Right.
have it. We'll
Yeah.
stick your head on it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, say if...
They're laughing at you.
they are
laughing at the
they're
body,
laughing
yeah.
at the body,
Yeah.
but at least I'd be able to sort of go, I know it's a mess, but it's not mine. At least I don't have to claim ownership.
So all of this extraordinary technology that can make put one head on another person's body is so you can go, it's not my body.
No.
But
it's not your own.
I'm not being funny though. So if you have a body transplant, right, and you're there, you're at home,
Yeah.
naked, you look down,
Yeah.
lovely penis and a set of testicles,
Yeah.
right? What do you do with them?
What do you mean? What am I doing with them?
Well, do you like them?
Well, you wouldn't mess about with them as much as if they were your own.
But if you did mess about with them, would you feel guilty that you were messing about with another man's testicles and penis?
And it's the full body.
Yeah.
No, because they're not my hands either.
You're a genius! You're a fucking genius! So what you're doing is watching someone else wank.
Yeah.
Well, one thing Karl has been doing over the past few months is writing his diary. He's kept that up. I don't know what he's had to write about. All he's been doing is looking at moths and ants and bees and going for walks. But I'm sure it's all in the diary. So, let's have a look at that. Oh, I don't believe he's only going to write it down the...
We went to the park and had a brew. Suzanne read the paper while I played with a ladybird. I mean, it's like a child, isn't it? It's like what a child would do.
Suzanne read the paper while I played with the ladybird. His only friend is a beetle.
It climbed up my arm. It struggled on me hairs.
This is in detail then?
Yeah. It kept stopping every now and then and was rubbing its head with its right arm. It did it about 4 times and always used its right arm. It rested for about 5 minutes, then flew off. Sunday. Had a bit of a to-do with Suzanne because she wanted a lion today. I ate this. Once you're awake, you should get up. I got up and put the radio on really loud. She eventually got up. I told her insects don't have lions, so we shouldn't.
Why are you obsessed with insects?
You must be fucking unbearable to live with. You must be a nightmare.
No, I've just started, because I've watched insects a lot. I don't want to keep going on about them because we're a bit insect heavy. But at the end of the day, if we copied insects, we wouldn't go far wrong.
I don't know what you mean though. 1 minute you're saying they're great, then the next minute you'll slag them off.
Yeah, I'll slag some of them off if I don't know what they're doing, but because I've studied them a bit longer, I just think they do it right.
You haven't studied them though.
He thinks he's like Darwin.
But you just slagged them off and again, don't you think that insects are doing stuff? They're not. It goes there, then it goes back again.
The ant was messing about, but only that one. The others were carrying stuff. That's what I'm saying. These snidey ones in everything. In everything in the world, you get a hierarchy.
Oh, long words!
Ooh. The bookshelf was dusty, so Suzanne asked me to dust it if I get a minute. I ended up looking at every book.
Just the spine.
Yeah.
Just for a few seconds each. Yeah. Didn't open them.
I looked in the dictionary to see if the word dictionary would be in the dictionary. I didn't think they would bother with it being on the front page, but it was in the book as well.
It's a good point, though, isn't it?
No, it's not a good point, because you didn't tell us anything.
Dictionary is in the dictionary.
Well, of course it is.
Well, why? If you go, how do you spell dictionary, you look at the spine and you go, oh, there it is, D-I-C-C, and all that.
So what does dictionary mean?
It's a book full of words, isn't it?
That's what it means. All books are full of words, you idiot.
How to spell them. And if you don't know
No,
what
it's
it
not
is...
how to spell them.
All right, then we'll...
I'll just look up something. No. It's not a book full of words to tell us what... No. It's the meaning.
Give us the definition of dictionary.
Meaning.
It's a book full of words if you want to know what the meanings are. But if you didn't know
Well, sorry, what was that sentence?
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, if you didn't know that, then you wouldn't be looking in it, because you wouldn't know the book is about that. So, if you don't know the word dictionary and what it means, you wouldn't be looking at the dictionary, you'd be looking at an A to Z. Because you
Why leave it out, though?
Just because there's so many words in the world, I would have thought they wanted to cram as much as they can on a page, and if dictionary is already on the front...
Is that why you suddenly used the word hierarchy for the first time ever? Did you find that in there?
Did you see hierarchy in the dictionary?
I feel that big word has pushed out about 26 other more useful ones.
Yeah. No, well, Suzanne's been going on about me learning another language. But I sort of think your brain has only got so much room on it.
And the rest of it's filled with lard.
So, if I've got to learn everything I know, again, but in a different language, it's taking up space, isn't it?
You don't learn everything. Oh, God.
It's all storage, isn't it?
But you don't have to learn it again. You don't have to learn the concepts again. You're merely learning vocabulary.
Do you know how many moves there are in the human brain? You don't worry, you won't use them all up.
I feel that he has reached his capacity there.
Yeah. Well, you need another sort of... You need an update. You need some more memory.
Woke up to some interesting news. It's good when this happens because it sets me up for the day ahead. If it's miserable news, it affects my day. It said on the news that they have found 2 new flies.
Fucking hell, more insects! What have you done? Is that all you've done this summer?
Bong. Trouble in the Middle East. Bong. 2 new flies found.
Ladybird climbs up arm.
They were found in the UK and they were found close to each other. Maybe this happened because they were different than the other flies and weren't expected to hang about together, so that's why they knocked about with each other.
That would happen, wouldn't it?
What do you mean?
There's 2 new flies.
What do you mean? Does it mean there are 2 new flies that are a different species?
Yeah, 2 new species, and they found them close to each other, right?
Yeah,
and
but they didn't mean there was one of each.
No. Yeah, they did. They found 2 different ones.
No.
No, they have. Seriously, I know that. That's right. That's a fact. So you've got, like, I don't know the names of them. They give them odd names, don't they? Well, say call it A and fly B, right?
Yeah.
Fly A, I don't know, say that's orange.
This is just...
B,
Fly B, yeah.
This is painful.
No, but
This
I'm
is
just making
painful.
it easier
But Fly
for
B
you.
wears a little hat. He's got a little hat.
All right, yeah, fine. Now, they found the orange one and went, look at this over here. This is a bit weird. And they've gone, oh, that's a new species. Log it, whatever. And then the other one went, oh, keep your pen handy. Look at this one, it's got a hat on. So then they found them both within the same distance.
I don't know what that sentence means.
Keep going.
They
No, let him try and finish.
They found them both within the same distance.
But without interrupting him, let him finish this point.
Let me just make one thing clear. Karl Pilkington just said they found them both within the same distance. Think of that!
Don't know what it means, but go on, let him finish this point.
So what I mean is, they weren't knocking about with other normal houseflies because they were probably sort of going, oh, he's a bit weird. Leave it. Yet, because the other one was also odd, they're hanging about with each other. Don't you understand that? Why is that such an odd concept?
Because you think of it as like 2 little new kids in school.
Yeah.
They find out they're both new and they've got something in common.
They're both goths, so they start hanging out together.
Yeah.
And this was on the news, was it?
Yeah, just on the radio, yeah.
I know if I looked into that story, it would be 90% wrong.
Bit tired today, because didn't get to sleep as early as I wanted due to a moth getting in the bedroom.
Fuck me!
I got it in a glass and looked at it for a bit and then let it go because Suzanne wanted to go to sleep. Looked up some interesting news. Some people dug up an old body in Ireland. Turns out it's well old and was here when dinosaurs were here. The really weird bit is it had hair gel in its hair.
Right, what is it?
Fella.
Well, no, it wasn't around when dinosaurs were here then.
Just a bit after.
Right, fine. A lot after, yeah, go on. I think any hominid, anything that could even be linked to anything that may become man, is only about 1 million years old, and I think Homo sapien is probably only about 150,000 years old. Dinosaurs are about 150 million to 250 million.
Yeah, no, it's not the age bit, that's amazing. It's the fact of, there's a fella, won't have even had shoes on his feet.
Right.
And yeah, he was worried about his hairstyle.
Right, well that's definitely not true either. This is unbelievable.
Well, there was a man on the radio doing poetry, says Karl in his diary. I thought I'd have a go at doing a poem about today.
Not really. Steve, I'm a little bit queasy. He hasn't really written a poem.
He's written a small poem.
No, he hasn't really.
Yes. If moths had eyes...
Fuck me!
Let me read the poem, okay?
Oh, fuck.
You wouldn't interrupt T.S. Eliot.
Okay. Oh, okay.
If moths had eyes, would they be happier? How do they know they're not dead? Cavemen hunting for food, but not before they style the hair on their head. What would last longer in dinosaur times? A blind man didn't stand a chance. Not with all them rocks about. I'd rather be a blind moth.
Right, it may be the greatest poem
Now,
ever written.
just dissecting it briefly, you attempt to rhyme in the first 4 lines, but abandon the rhyming system in the last 3. Is there a creative decision for that?
Can we have Karl read that?
By all
Sorry,
means, yeah.
just you read it as you would like to. So this is, imagine this, right? Okay, this is going out all over the world. This podcast. And now, Karl Pilkington, a new poet from Manchester, now living in London, England, would like to read a poem
If moths had eyes, would they be happier? How do they know they're not dead? Cavemen hunting for food, but not before they style the hair on their head. What would last longer in dinosaur times? A blind man didn't stand a chance. Not with all them rocks about. I'd rather be a blind moth.
He said it as though the last bit was going to rhyme. He said it like it was going to rhyme. Oh, God.
No,
it's amazing.
I think he feels as though the final line, I'd rather be a blind moth, it's going to be one of those great, a summation, that somehow the moth is a metaphor, the caveman.
No, but
there's
all
no
I'm doing-
metaphor in that. He really does mean he'd rather be a blind moth.
Yeah, well, I'm just because I've looked at the day's news.
Can we always do that, Carl? Can we always find a day, right, and always sum it up in your thoughts, a poem? Just like that. I love that structure. I love that structure. If there's any English students or professors or novelists or poets listening, please email us what they thought of that poem, why it's good, why it's bad. So, give us your thoughts on that. I mean, we would love expert opinion, poets, English professors. Just email us at podcast@rickygervais.com. Now, Carl, apart from being a poet, you are an author now. You've written a book. Which surprised me and Steve, because as Steve said, we thought you'd read a book before you actually wrote one, but you've proved us wrong, and all your teachers wrong, and everyone in the world who thinks you're an idiot. It is actually a very good book. I mean, a lot of it is transcripts from, the podcasts, but you've answered some of your critics, haven't you? And you've tried to prove some of your theories. It's everything about Carl. It is like
All the drawings.
All the drawings. There's new stories, isn't there? I mean, there's so much effort. I can't believe it. He's been working on it for months, and it's out on the 18th of September. But you can order it now, can't you, on Amazon.com and Amazon.co.uk.
What's that book called?
It's called The World of Karl Pilkington. Well, thanks very much. Goodbye from me, Ricky Gervais. Goodbye from Stephen Merchant.
Goodbye.
And goodbye from the little hollow, egg-headed moron that is Karl Pilkington.
Right.
Audible hopes you've enjoyed this programme.
Well, episode 2 of season 3 of the Ricky Gervais Show, with me, Ricky Gervais, Stephen Merchant.
Hello there.
And Karl Pilkington.
All right.
What's been going on? What's been going on?
I've been to hospital. I was rushed to hospital, like emergency and that. Had a tube put up my knob.
You had a tube put up your knob?
Yeah.
What's the story?
Kidney stones.
Ooh.
So, shouldn't really be here, to be honest, doing this. He said rest and that. Climbing them stairs on the way in.
To be quite honest, it doesn't look like you're expending a lot of energy at the moment. It's like at Zookeeper going, oh, that sloth move today. Calm down.
Yeah, but I had to get here. It's been raining.
Yeah.
I had to come up the stairs. I had to carry the computer.
Yeah.
Well, that's not entirely true, because your girlfriend was carrying it. I saw her outside.
Yeah, but I'm just saying.
And then you handed it to me and said, Steve, carry this.
Almighty.
So
Yeah, I know.
that's already a lie.
Christ almighty. Whinging.
Not whinging.
I'm in show business. I know loads of people that wake up every day with a sore knob, feeling like they've had their kidneys probed, and they will say they're unconscious. So they don't whinge about it. They get straight back onto it. They, a lot of them on TV now.
Yeah, straight back to hosting game shows.
So you're rushed to hospital.
So take us through the events, because it does sound quite dramatic. You started feeling a bit of pain, did you, initially?
Felt a bit of pain, and I thought, maybe I've just pulled a muscle or something when I've been wrestling with Ricky and that, because you don't know what damage has been done. So I just think, it'll go in a minute, and then it didn't. It got a bit badder.
It got badder, did it?
So then I thought, I was crippled. I was lying on the floor in agony, looking on the internet, looking for sort of
Still looking at
solutions.
monkey news.
No, I just put in like bellyache and stuff, and they were saying it can be loads of different things. And what I used to do when I was a kid, I used to always just get a cold ashtray and put that on my belly, and the coldness used to get rid of the badness.
Amazing.
The coldness got me.
It's like a witch doctor.
Yeah.
This is like
A witch doctor happens to work in a pub.
it's like some sort of 5th century remedy
Yeah.
written in mud. Coldness doth get away with the badness.
Why specifically an ashtray?
Just because they were sort of old cold.
They're old cold.
I don't know what this is. I love this idea that he's at the operation and he comes round and they're talking to him and his girlfriend gets a phone call and they say, Mr. Pilkington's maybe complications. He's just talking rubbish. She goes, oh, good.
Yeah, he's back to his old self. What? Why specifically an ashtray? Sorry, because it's old cold. I understand it's old cold.
Yeah, we understand. Everyone who's done a medical degree understands old cold, but old cold belly badness. If you want to buy that book, Old Cold Belly Badness, it's the history of abdominal surgery by Karl Pilkington.
No, it just
But you put it in the freezer or something
you
first?
can do if you want, but they're normally cold anyway. Sort of thick glass and that it holds the cold. But we don't smoke in our house, so I had to use a plate.
Oh, well, that's madness. A plate's not going to work. Famously, a plate doesn't work.
No!
So you put a plate on your belly, but that didn't do any.
That didn't work. So called Suzanne and said, "Oh, I'm in agony here." She said, "Go to the doctors then."
Good advice.
So
a lot of people have done that straight away, as opposed to going through the plate ashtray.
So he got into hospital and he went to hospital and he said, have you got an ashtray? They went,
No, especially an ashtray.
This is no smoking.
So anyway, then we get in a cab and whatever, you go there. I have an X-ray.
His voice is even more boring than usual,
Extraordinary, isn't it? Yeah.
Fuck me.
And they put me on a drip and everything. Give me some morphine and stuff. And found out that I had kidney stones. So that's why I was in hospital. And they get them out by... I don't know what's gone on, to be honest. I've got some tube inside me. From my kidney to my bladder. That's helping me stuff get about.
And so there's a little tube up the end of your knob into your...
Yeah, it's not there now. It's high up.
Right.
So it's high up between my kidney and my bladder.
But why didn't you have the thing where they go in the side? You had the choice to...
Because I said to the doctor, I'm not a doctor. I said, what do you think?
He went, stop putting yourself down, Carl.
He said,
we need you in the operating theatre now.
He just said, I said to him, what should I have done? Because he said, if you want, go home, and we'll get you in again or something. Something like that. And I said, no, I might as well have it done properly. Have it done now whilst I'm here.
Sorry, the choice was have it done properly or go home.
It was something like that. He said there's something you can do, and I said, oh,
flush it out.
No, because it's too big. It's something like 7mm.
And it's basically because you don't drink enough water.
Yeah. So anyway, I said, what do you think I should have done? And he said, tube up the knob. And I said, not my favourite one of the choice, but if that's what you think. So he said, yeah, have that. He did me little diagrams, which didn't help. He was like showing...
How big did he draw your knob?
Sort of normal size.
Yeah? Was it?
It was alright.
You weren't offended by them?
But he wanted into detail. It's just, more the tube and stuff in your bladder and your kidney.
What was your ball bag like? Did he draw that?
He didn't do that bit. He left that bit out.
Okay, right.
But he said, we'll just pop that up there. And then that's when Ricky turned up to visit. Came in laughing at me because we sat there in like me underpants and stockings.
In stockings?
Yeah.
Why were you dressed
He was
as
there. No, he wasn't in bed. He was sort of out of bed with his little drip, right? He had his little boxer shorts on, just sat there, right, in his pants, right, and he had stockings on.
Yeah, because they stop clots or something. They put them on your legs. It's like, when people have got big veins and they go on a plane.
Right. Yeah.
You said you're not a doctor.
No, but I've seen it because Suzanne's mum did it, and she put them on ridiculously early, like 3 days before we were going away, and she'd never been away before, and everything was like over the top. Do you know what I mean? She was like, I best put them on. And so I put them on, and they I don't know what it is. It's something when you're in when you're under, your blood doesn't move about the same.
Right.
And it can clot up in your leg. So you wear these tight tights.
And I came in to cheer him up, didn't I?
Yeah.
Was that a nice cheery experience, him coming in?
I had a headache at the time. I think I was a bit stressed out.
Well, he's just the man you want at that point.
Yeah.
He reassured you, I imagine.
Well, it's weird how it suddenly all happened quick. It was like as soon as he came in, it's like they got the finger out. And when I say
Not
that,
literally.
I mean
Yeah.
suddenly I was being rushed down to, have me stuff done. And I woke up and there was an Irish woman over me going, "Are you all right? You all right?" And I said, "Oh, it's stinging a bit." She said, "I'll give you some more morphine." And I sort of put my head up to have a look at my tackle because I wanted to see
If it was still there.
what was attached to it. Do you know what I mean? Because they said something about they might leave some string hanging out of it so they can pull the tube out.
It makes you talk.
So, I had a look for that. Couldn't see any of that.
Yeah.
But as she put the morphine in, all the muscles in your body go funny. My head just collapsed.
Your head collapsed.
I sort of looked up to look at my stuff, but then she said, "Oh, you just need a little bit of morphine," and she put that in, and I just sort of went, oof. And then they sent me home about 2 hours after. But I'm in agony now, and
Are you in agony right now as we speak?
yeah, it's hurting.
Now, are you a man who's had this kind of hospital experience before? Is this your whole first time?
I don't go to hospitals and stuff because I don't like them messing about. But it does make you think now. Do you know what I mean? Like life and everything. It's weird how it's all happened in the last month. From seeing that bee sort of die.
No.
Well, not really.
No. This is not a near-death experience.
It is
You
a
had a
little bit.
routine operation to remove kidney stones because you don't drink enough water.
No, I know, but
This is not a shark attack.
yeah, but it's all life-threatening. Otherwise, you wouldn't have to fill out forms, would you? Saying if everything goes wrong, Suzanne can have the house or whatever. And then you find out more about the body as well, which has been sort of doing me head in a bit. You're more aware of stuff in your body, which I don't like knowing about.
Yeah.
They keep taking your heartbeats and stuff, and your blood pressure. I don't like knowing about that. I just leave it. It's happening. Don't be messing with it. Stop measuring it.
Stop measuring it!
No, do you know what I
That's
mean?
the same with a knob.
It's that thing of like, they put that thing
That's what
on.
the anaesthetist was doing when you were under, wasn't it?
Yeah.
He was comparing the diagram to the actual thing.
Oh, God.
The fella across the way from me had the same thing as me, but he'd had it a couple of days ago when he was in agony. So that doesn't help when he's saying, "Oh, I've been to hell and back." Like, don't tell me that.
Sure.
I don't want to know. Just say it was all right and stuff. So it just the whole thing of a hospital is stressful. You know what I mean? They wake you up like every half an hour in the night, saying, "How do you feel?" It's like, "Well, it's 3:30. What are you doing?" I've got to have it done again in a couple of weeks because what they've done now, they've popped that straw up, but the stone's still in there because they didn't have the laser team in with them. Blast the stone, and then that time they're probably going to leave a little bit of string out the end. Then they have to go about 3 days later and they pull it out. Tell you what though, when you are because when you're in hospital, you've got a lot of time just to sit there and think about stuff. And what I was thinking about is, what is the closest thing sort of living that's nothing?
I don't know what you mean.
What?
What's like the closest, like, do you know at some point something's gone from nothing to something, hasn't it?
No, I don't understand what you mean.
Something, at some point people were nothing, and then something happened and there was something. Do you know what I mean?
But they were never nothing, were they?
Do you mean what is the first and lowest and most primitive and most simple form of life?
No,
He's right here in this room, Rick.
say like when you look at a stick insect,
Right.
you go, right, there's a slight crossover there from a stick to a living thing.
No, it's not.
It didn't used to be a stick.
No, it's not. There's no biological relationship between it and a stick.
But there isn't much difference between the two, is what I mean.
Of course there is.
It's a
There
huge
isn't.
difference.
They just sit there looking like a stick. That's their skill.
Yes, but there's nothing to do with being a stick. It's like camouflage. That's like saying when a soldier puts on combat gear, you're saying he's a cross between a human and a shrub. He's not a cross between a human and a shrub.
No,
is he?
but that's man-made
From a distance,
stuff.
you can't see him. That's the same as the stick insect.
No, but that isn't what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, have you seen them weird things that just look like... They sort of look like a leaf?
Yeah, there are insects that have evolved to look like a leaf. So a bird thinks, oh, there's no tea there.
No,
that's not a juicy insect. It's a leaf. I don't eat leaves.
Yeah, but
Forget
at some point, something has had it away with a leaf.
No!
What?
At no point has something had it away with a leaf.
No, to make it look that much like a leaf.
At no point did a beetle shag a leaf. There's nothing on a genetic level or molecular level, anything to do with it having anything to do with a stick or a leaf. It's superficial. It's the way it looks. That's all that's like saying chameleons must have mated with green once. They are green.
No, but
it looks like a leaf.
What I don't understand is...
It has evolved to blend in perfectly with its surroundings and fool predators.
But then how does it meet... How does it have relationships? It will be going around sort of having it away with a leaf.
No, it won't, because it doesn't know what it looks like. It doesn't matter. They do it with pheromones and attraction, and it's not like a stick insect will be talking to a stick for ages and go, "Oh, I've wasted my time here. This club's dead." Rude.
I was chatting to her. She was foxy, but she was giving me nothing.
But Dave, that's not a stick insect. That's a stick.
What are you talking about?
That's a stick. You've been talking to a stick all night.
I can't believe it. I just thought she had a great slim figure.
No, it's actually a real stick.
But I've been reading a lot about, I like spiders and stuff, just reading about them. And there's one, right? It's got big legs.
Yeah.
Doesn't use them. It goes around floating in the air on a bit of webbage. Like a kite.
He just took a gamble then, didn't he? He took a gamble. He thought, do you know what? I'm going to go with webbage. Don't know if it's a word, not sure, but I could just say web, and I'm going to go with webbage. I'm going to risk it. And it didn't pay off, did it?
Webbage! Webbage!
But that's how it gets about. It's in the air like a kite.
Yeah.
And it's just floating about.
I've seen one, yeah.
So that's what I'm saying about weirdness. The way all that goes on, and this is what I can't get my head round.
You have got your head round.
But do they get ill then?
He's just, for those listening at home, he has just bumped his head against the microphone.
Trying to mate with it because it's perfectly round, this microphone.
No, but when I was, this is what I'm saying, when I was in hospital and stuff, you do think about how others live, because insects don't have operations. Are they built better than us to survive in this world?
The trap you seem to fall into again and again and again is you cannot conceive of the fact that insects and animals do not have consciousness and personality and communication. They do not function in the way that humans do. You've seen so many Disney cartoons, you believe them now to have a life and wear bowler hats and go to work. But just in the same way that the cavemen didn't have Flintstone-type cars and have a little house,
but
you can't seem to understand that animals don't work in that way.
But what I mean is, you're saying that no animals or insects know anything, yet when you see them things on nature programmes where a load of ants are having a walk, there's always one at the front who's leading it all. So one of them's got to know something.
First. Or there are leaders in.
Yeah, but the other ants are going follow him.
No, they're not. They're not. They're not vocalising that in any sense that you understand it. No, they're not
saying follow him, but they sort of look as if to sort of say, I'm going this way. Without
cognitive
speaking.
reasoning.
It's not made a conscious decision to act in that way.
Yeah, but this is when
if a raindrop falls on a bird's beak and it moves away because instinctively it's hardwired to be wary of things which drop on its beak in case it's dangerous. It's not thinking, oh crumbs, I better get out of the way. It just does it because it's somehow hardwired into it to act that way. But it doesn't stop for a moment and think. Which we don't really, except we then are able to rationalise our fears and our actions.
Well, I've been watching birds more than insects recently.
Oh, okay, you've moved on from
insects. In the last week, just because I've sort of looked at the ant and the bee and that. And what I've found with pigeons is, they've got wings, yet they walk a lot.
I'd love that to be a thesis where he got like a £500,000 grant from a university, and I said, well, Pilkington he's done ants and he's done bees. He's followed ants. Apparently they're not doing anything. Some of them are lazy. We are granting him another £500,000. He's been working on it for a year. Please welcome Karl Pilkington.
Carl, what have you found?
Well, even though pigeons have wings, they walk a lot.
No, but even in times of danger, one was crossing the road and a car was coming, and you'd think that its head would say, best start flying. Yet it just walked faster.
Well,
what's he doing?
it was doing stuff, wasn't it? It saved a bit of energy. Takes a lot to take off, doesn't it?
Yeah, but it's either that or you're going to get crushed.
But
Use
it
the
didn't
energy.
get crushed, did it?
No, I don't think it did. No.
There you go. They knew what it was doing, didn't it?
Yeah, it just annoyed me. That's all. It's got a power, and it's not.
Power. They're all superpowers. These animals.
But that's why he thinks of the stick insect as like that. You mentioned earlier that's its power, that's its skill. Like Spider-Man was bitten by a radioactive spider, and now he can solve crimes and swing with webbage, using his webbage. Whereas, yeah, stick insects, it's not a superpower.
But say if everything was at the same size as us, what would be the best thing to be? Say like a tarantula.
Yeah.
And a tiger. What would happen there?
A 15-stone tiger versus a 15-stone tarantula.
Yeah.
Well, I'd imagine the 15-stone tarantula.
Right, so it's just weird that, isn't it? It's a good job that they're small. Yet things are getting bigger because we're messing with the world.
But it's a ridiculous thing to say, isn't it? Because what would it eat? 15 stone. Well, it wouldn't happen anyway, because insects have insects and arachnids and invertebrate arthropods in general, they have a critical mass because they haven't got lungs. They breathe through things in their side called spiracles, and if it gets too big, the surface to volume ratio isn't big enough to allow it enough oxygen. So the biggest you'll find is like a foot-long beetle or somewhat weird
It's
like
big
that.
though, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's about as big as they get. So I
Gonna
wouldn't
kill
worry
that.
about it.
Again, based on nothing, he queries
It's not,
you.
and also, it's not a case that one that'll be born too big and can't breathe. It won't happen. That's why they're only that big, because of
But it's
that
like
restriction.
fish, isn't it? How they say about a goldfish.
Yeah.
That thing about a woman who went on holiday and stuck it in a bath. She came back, it was 7 foot.
Right, that didn't happen.
No, that's a well-known thing about
No, it's not a
goldfish.
well-known
When's
thing.
it what?
I'll tell you why. Because a fish will only grow to its surroundings anyway. So
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
you have
So-
to put it in a bigger tank.
Yeah, in a bath.
No, a 7-foot fish in a bath. It just fit the bath exactly, did it?
When she got back off holiday,
Don't talk shit.
It's
What
a
was it
well-known-
eating? What was it eating?
How long was she gone for? 2 million years?
yeah. She went to Mars and back.
Yeah.
it's just that fish are weird, aren't they?
Well, no, there's
Again.
no, that's a bollocks story. Once again,
No,
I don't know where you've heard it or read it.
It's a
or
well-known story.
a 7-foot goldfish in your bath.
But, no, fish are weird.
Ted,
like
you're
that.
not going to believe this. Come up here.
Well, how many fish do you see that have naturally died? That's the weird thing.
What do you mean?
Just ping-ponging around these ideas in your mind.
You just never see fish sort of just floating about in the water and you go, oh, died of old age. It's always been caught by a man or a shark's at it. You don't just see dead fish washed up, do you? When you think of the
Sometimes.
amount of fish... No, when you think of the amount of fish that are in the sea, there's loads of them, and yet you never...
Because they're eaten
walk
straight
down
away.
That's what I'm saying, though. Are they eaten when they're dead, or are they just being eaten?
Well, most things like that don't die of old age.
Yeah, that's weird, though, isn't it?
Well, no, because it's a jungle out there.
Yeah, no, that's why I said I wouldn't want to live in the sea. Because you've got to
Are
be
you
on...
sure you're not on morphine as we speak?
No, but in the sea, you've got to be constantly sort of alert, haven't you?
Yeah,
amount
but
of
that's
stuff.
true of all animals.
No, worse than the sea. The sea is like full of... you've got an enemy around every rock.
I love it! I love it! It's like a wall into crabs
Exactly.
and young squid. It's like the policeman that comes into your school.
Yeah.
What advice would you give? Okay then, what advice would you give?
Some plankton.
Now, what advice would you give a 2-week-old octopus?
And what am I? Am I an octopus?
No,
you're
you're
yourself.
you. We've set it up that it can understand you with some sort of one of your inventions. to talk to the animals. One of your brilliant inventions is just a watch you strap on its tentacle and it can understand human talk. I'm sure you'll come up with that one day. What do you say to it? What would you say to an octopus, a young octopus, who wants to set out by himself in the sea?
Stay close to the rocks, and just let it know about the thing about it can get into a small space. If you look at an hole, don't go, I can't get in there, and sort of squash it and show itself. I can roll it into a ball and sort of say, look at that. Is that hurting?
I love the fact that the drugs make no difference. It's like there's no difference. Oh, God.
Because that's the only thing that's got in it. It's boneless. So
that's its special power.
That's what it can do. You can roll it up, and as long as it knows that. But that's the problem with a lot of powers, isn't it? That's the same thing about how people say don't have a go at bees because they're not like wasps. They don't sting you because once they sting you, they die. That doesn't know that, does it?
It's also not true, but yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It doesn't know, so it's not like the bees going around going, I'm not going to sting you because I'll die if I do.
What's your point there? I don't understand.
I'm just saying...
We shouldn't dislike bees.
Well, how do these creatures know what to do?
Instinct.
I suppose it's like that story you told me about the scorpion, isn't it? It's that, isn't it?
What, the scorpion and the frog?
Yeah.
What, the fable?
Yeah. What was it? It was a frog
the scorpion needed to get across a river, and it said to a frog, can you give me a lift? And the frog said, well, no, of course not, because you'll sting me. You're a scorpion. And he goes, well, no, why would I do that? If I sting you and I'm in the water and you drown, I drown. And the frog went, good point. So the frog gives him a piggyback, going across the river, halfway across, the scorpion stings the frog, and the frog's dying. And the frog's going, no, I'm going to die, and you're going to die. So why did you do that? And the scorpion said, because I'm a scorpion. What do you think that was meant to point out?
Just sort of be careful who you help.
No. It's meant to point out that you are what you are. You are your nature.
No, but it's also that thing of like...
I'm telling you, it's nothing to do with
if you're
what the frog was...
driving and someone's hitchhiking, don't pick them up because...
No, it's nothing to do with the mentality or the reasoning or the anything to do with the frog at all. The point of it.
Well, I don't know. I think Aesop was thinking a lot about the hitchhiking problem.
It wouldn't happen. That's the problem with a lot of them fables. They're putting animals together that wouldn't meet.
Oh, whereas insects go around shagging leaves.
Well, insects are with the leaves, whereas I don't know where a scorpion is knocking around with a frog. I mean, there's that weird one I remember
He's
watching.
Annoyed.
I remember hearing something about this lizard that sort of gets pally with the scorpions, even though they're not mates, they don't get on, but they've kind of got this agreement that the scorpion can live in their house if they guard it. And there's the local people used to stick their hands down these holes and get the lizards to make slippers out of them. And the lizards were getting sick of this. And I think somehow something happened where the lizards thought, look, enough's enough. We'll let you sleep in our den if you stand by the door. So the scorpion used to stand by the door and stay awake at night whilst the lizard's having a kip. Fella comes along wanting to make some new slippers, puts his hand down the hole, scorpion gets him. Now that's what's weird with that two enemies have worked together.
It's called a symbiotic relationship. But at no point did they sit down and go, right, what are we going to do? I'll tell you what, I'll give you shelter. You give me that sting in case there's a fellow who wants to make slippers. Because all this happened way before people were making slippers.
But isn't it weird, though? Because people, there's nothing that happens like that in people, is there?
Of course there is.
What, like that, where you don't get on but you work with them?
Of course there is.
What?
Loads of business relationships. What do you mean?
No, but
Team up,
normally you
even though
stay...
they're
What I mean is you
essentially
stay
enemies.
away. If someone's being a bit weird...
You know, loads of examples where you might go, well, I hate to do it, but my only option is to go with X, Y, and Z.
But what I'm saying is, though, let me just finish.
Go on.
I live in an area where, you know, I sort of know a lot of the locals, and there's a local woman who's a bit mad. Now, I know her, but I choose to sort of stay away because it scares you a bit, doesn't it, when something's like that and it's unpredictable. So, you know, when I was in the little corner shop, she came in, right? She screams a lot, just screams for the sake of it. And you don't know if she's upset or if she's just doing it for attention, then the scream will go from screaming to laughing. So you're like, oh, what's going on? And it was like rush hour. It was like rush hour time in this shop. And she chose to go in then, and she doesn't work, so it was like, why is she coming in now? She's had all day to go in. Just pick the busy time. And she was like about 3 places in front of me. And she was only buying a Yorkie and some earbuds. Right? And I thought,
A Yorkie and some earbuds?
yeah, and I thought, what's the rush? You've come at the wrong time and you bought stuff that could have waited. You should never have to rush out for a Yorkie or an earbud, is what I'm saying. Right? And I ended up sort of going, oh, I can't stand this. And I left. Now, that was me being like I would expect the scorpion to be, or the lizard.
I don't know what you're talking about now.
I have
I don't
no
know where
idea.
okay, what do you mean?
No, I'm just saying how, like, I chose that woman could be dangerous, so I'll leave her to it. And that's where nature kicks in. And you go, I don't want to be here. I don't know what she's going to do. She's unpredictable. I'll pop back later. And then, I look out, I can see the shop. I saw her go, and she was, like, laughing to herself again and trying to climb up some ladders. And I thought, once she's gone, I'll nip back. I don't know what my point was. I don't know.
Oh, he's only got to reel it down.
That's the jingle for Karl's Diary. We had bacon and egg on toast. I'm eager to get through the brown sauce, as the bottle is too big to go in any cupboard, so it has to be left on the sideboard. So I had about 4 dollops of the stuff. I love that made it into the diary. He's concerned about the fact that brown sauce is too big, so he's rushing through it.
I know, but I'm just saying the kitchen isn't that big, and it looks messy when you leave stuff out, doesn't it? And we've got this giant brown sauce bottle, and I don't want to chuck it away because that'd be a waste.
So you're having brown sauce and everything, your cornflakes,
basically, yeah.
in your tea.
Yeah.
A wasp got in the flat. You know trouble's brewing. It was massive, the biggest wasp ever. Suzanne asked me to get it out, but I wanted to take a picture of it first. I was getting my phone ready when it flew at me. I reckon the sting on it could have killed a kitten.
So specific.
It ended up flying out the window on its own. Drama averted.
Oh, God.
We went out for tea. You're always in a cafe. That's what this diary. You spend so much time in a cafe. There were loads of flying ants. I kept kicking the table because I could feel them on my legs. I wouldn't be that jumpy normally, but I still had flashbacks of the giant wasp from the morning. Suzanne told me to stop being stupid because I was ruining her night out.
A night out in a cafe. Brilliant. Oh,
what was it, her birthday?
And flashbacks from an incident.
Yeah.
Like he's some sort of, like, war veteran. What is it? It's the wasp. It could have killed a kitten.
Bought some wallpaper. We got back and got on with it. The wall that we've papered before has got a big mirror under it. We papered on top of it again. I ended up reading my phrase book while Suzanne did the rest of the tidying up. Now, what's your phrase book? This is just you trying to master English, is it?
It's just a book that tells you little sayings and how they came about.
An interesting phrase is potluck. It came about when all people ate is stews. They used to chuck all sorts of stuff into the stew. You stuck your spoon in, and sometimes you got something nice like beef, or you could end up with a bit of frog. It's potluck.
Good, that, isn't it?
That's what it said in the book, did it?
A bit of frog.
Got up and checked the wallpaper out. There are loads of air bumps and it's buckled on the joins. I wish we'd never done it. Suzanne said the washer was broke and it's out of its warranty. She called up the people who made it and they said it will cost £150 to fix. I don't know how they know that when they haven't even seen it. I want to smash it to bits and see what they can do for £150. So much anger.
I want to smash it to bits. That'd be great, wouldn't it? 150, you sure? Come round.
Yeah.
And it's just like a cube that's been through one of those car crushers.
Yeah.
150 quid, there's 150 quid, fix it.
I watched the news and calmed down a bit, because there was a story about some Siamese twins who are having an operation. They've got 2 heads, 4 arms, 2 legs, 1 liver. The doctor said they will have 1 leg each. I felt bad worrying about the washer when people have bigger problems like the Siamese twins. Ricky and Steve asked me to do a poem about one day a week, so I thought I'd do one today. I can't obviously do it justice, so I should let the master read it.
You've done another poem?
Yeah, you said, just do one. If you have a day where you've had a lot of emotions.
Well, I loved the poem, and so did the listeners, and I knew they would, so if you can do that every week, that'd be a joy for me.
You can't force a poem, though.
No, I know.
So a diary's easy to do, because you just write down what you're doing.
But
Yeah.
you've got to have some really meaty subject matter to be able to write a poem, Rick, as you'll discover.
I know.
Right, so, you've heard what problems I had that day.
Go on then.
Bubbled wallpaper. What a mess. Washer dry and knackered. What a mess. Siamese twins separated. 1 leg less.
I don't know what rhyming scheme that is again. Oh, God. Oh, God. Oh. Oh, fuck me. Well, there you go. That's the end of episode 2 of series 3 of the Ricky Gervais Show. More next week. More drivel, more diary. Another poem, I hope.
Maybe.
Just more news and stuff. From me, Ricky Gervais, Stephen Merchant,
Goodbye.
and Karl Pilkington.
Right.
Hello, welcome to number 3 in the 3rd series of the Ricky Gervais Show. With me, Ricky Gervais, Stephen Merchant,
Hello there.
and of course, Karl Pilkington.
Alright.
Had a good week, Karl?
Alright, just boring. It's a boring week. Because that sort of kidney operation I've had, it's just affected my life in a big way.
How are you now, Carl? Are you feeling better?
Better than it was last week.
Because last week you really were not putting the effort in, were you?
And it's your own fault, you got kidney stones, you don't drink enough water.
That's what I've been doing this week. Just drinking. You said what sort of a week have you had? What have you been up to? That's what I've done. I've drank water. That's all I've been doing. If there's a water shortage in London, it's because of that. Honestly, that's what you have to do. It's just boring. Just like a basking shark. Just sort of with its mouth open, just going through the water. Sick of it.
Oh, he's led the life of plankton for 1 week.
Have you been able to do anything, or have you just been resting?
It's best to rest. Just because, your body's still in shock, even though in the head, physically, I thought it was alright. The body sort of just acts in weird ways.
Brilliant.
It's a weird thing, isn't it? Like I said last week, you don't think about your body until there's something up with it. And then you panic a bit. And then you go, right, I'm going to look after it from now on. I've been given a second chance here.
As I said before, this was not a life-threatening illness or operation.
No, but it's that same thing. The last time I had it was when I nearly choked to death on the Mr. Freeze pop.
Right.
Where I had that sort of, what do they call it when you have like a second coming? Do you know what I mean? It's that sort of thing where
I don't think you're the second coming.
No, but that thing of...
If you are, we're all screwed.
You mean the second chance?
Yeah, it's a second chance thing.
Your life flashes before you, doesn't it?
Yeah, but you get, you suddenly feel kinder. Do you know what I mean?
Really?
Yeah, you sort of go, right, that was a bit of a warning.
Like Scrooge?
Be good to people and stuff. Yeah, a little bit. I think it's normal.
So are you now a nicer person? You're giving more generously to charity and the like?
Well, I haven't been out, so I can't do anything. I can't help anyone. Yeah.
Go online and...
But maybe, once...
Donate some money, all this cash you're in.
No, I've given enough money away. Sick of it. But,
It's changed.
So he hasn't changed at all then, no?
But you've also got to be careful as well, because there's that thing of, you can drown yourself, by having too much water.
Yeah.
So it's just getting that balance right of not having too much and filling yourself up.
Well, yeah, it's that balance, right, of not dehydrating and, becoming like a desert jellyfish. like a little crisp, and drowning yourself.
Yeah.
You're right, it is a balance. That's exactly what you've got to do.
I don't know how you've managed it, Carl. It's very complicated.
Yeah.
No, but
What I do is when I'm thirsty, I drink, and when I'm not thirsty, I don't.
yeah, but that's the problem with me. Whatever it is that's in your head that says you should have a drink, I don't really have one.
It's called a brain.
It's called a brain. Yeah.
It's the brain that tells you.
But the brain's never thirsty. I only think of drinking when I'm eating. And I'm not eating as much because my kidney's weird. I don't want to put any pressure on it, so I don't drink. So now, if I have it in front of me all the time, I go, right, I've got to have that.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I feel a bit better.
Good.
Just, it's just been a long week. Because when you don't do much, it's just, time doesn't whiz by.
And normally your weeks are packed, as we know, with visits to the cobblers.
Yeah.
Well, it's just like they say, innit? They say,
Following an ant.
Exactly, yeah. You've already got a hectic schedule.
I know, I don't know how you fit it all in.
But, because I was close to death and everything,
You weren't close to death.
I've been thinking about, other people who've been in that situation where they're dying and what have you. And it's weird how, like, in a way, do you know, like they say before you die, things to do?
Yeah.
I've never heard that sentence before. I don't know if they say.
Well, I've extrapolated from that. What you mean is there are certain things you should do before you die. Swim with dolphins, etc.
Yeah. But in a way, because I've had such a boring week, it's been a long week, so if I was dying, don't go swim with dolphins because you'll love it and the time will whiz by and you go, oh, there's another day gone. Whereas I've been sat at home watching, The Price is Right and stuff, and it's just like, oh, it's only 4 o'clock. God, this is dragging. So if I was dying, I'd go, yeah, it's dragging, but I've got ages more left to live.
Yeah.
But what's the point?
But it's really about quality of existence, isn't it, when you're dying?
No, but anyway, I'm just saying.
Oh, okay.
Been a boring week. But what I've been doing is going on the internet, sort of learning stuff, been watching more documentaries about stuff.
Yeah. Okay, tell me something you watched on the internet then.
The thing that stands out the most, there's this spider.
Right.
That a fella got. Popped it in like a little sort of bottle.
Yeah.
And chucked in 80 ants. And the spider, right, just went mental. And I don't know if the spiders eat ants. I don't know if they do. But he wasn't happy with them, that they were there. And he was just whizzing around, sort of biting them. Not eating them, just giving them a bite. And the ants would sort of just lie there, dead. And spider had this system of sort of going, right, I'm going to put the dead ones over there. And it was biting them, dragging them across, putting them in a pile, killing another one, popping it in the pile, and by the end of it, it made like a little pile of dead ants, and he was just there sort of breathing heavily. And that was amazing, because I'd never witnessed that before. But you don't see that happening, do you, normally?
So you think that if people are unfortunately passing away, sort of visiting Disneyland or whatever, they should
just learn stuff, just
sure, get on the internet and watch
this
spiders.
This world is amazing.
Attacking ants.
And just that thing of, last week you were saying how good ants were and how they're brainy and they work hard and everything. Yet none of them they didn't know what they were doing. There was panic going on. You watched them again, they were running backwards and forwards, and I remember like seeing a programme about ants where they're meant to sort of work together as a team, and if they climb up a person's leg, that person stood on their house, say, and they're all like, oh.
There's a signal and they all bite at the same time. They all bite
at once. Now, if that had done that on that spider, they sort of all go on it, and when they're all in position, one of them sort of goes, no, and it bites, and then it would do some damage, but there was none of that.
But you've seen things like the Towering Inferno, where even humans panic crazily and jump out of windows and things until Steve McQueen comes along and saves the day, so...
Yeah, but at the end of the day, when you're in a Towering Inferno, you were there relaxing on holiday. So, of course you're going to be relaxed, and the shock of it's going to make you go, oh, I wasn't ready for that, I was sat here in my trunks. Whereas that ants should always be alert.
Well, yeah.
Any insect's life should always be...
Well, so for a human scooping up 80 of them, putting them in a bottle with a giant spider.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, that's what insects do. Their life, they never relax. That's what's weird with an insect. There's no downtime, is there? It's you wake up, you go and get the food, you build your house. That's what you do, so you're always alert. They shouldn't be sort of running around going, oh, what do we do now? That should be in them.
I
They should
love
know
that you're annoyed at these poor ants that were bitten to death.
But also, they say they're clever. I was looking at it. If I was an ant, I would have just crawled under the pile of dead ones. Just sit under there, wait for the spider to go. None of them were doing that. They were all staying on one side and the dead ones on the other. So I'm just saying that, you're always sticking up for insects, saying they know what they're doing. They don't.
Where's this come from? When have I ever stuck up for insects? It's you that's follow them and saying they're brilliant and that, and ladybirds are right-handed and Christ knows what.
No, but, so I'd learnt that.
Brilliant. You haven't learned anything.
There's nothing to learn from that.
There's nothing you learned from that.
Something about jellyfish, and what else was there? There was a programme on the telly about survival, and a fella who, he looks after elephants, and he's in this little hang glider, looking for an elephant that he's looking after. He has to keep a track on where it's going and all that. And one day he's saying, I haven't seen the elephant today, and the fella's like, look for it tomorrow. He's like, no, it's best if I go and look for it now, because it might go further away or something. He said, I wish you'd leave it, till tomorrow. So straight away you're going, this is trouble. So he's going out in his glider, sort of at night. He's looking for the elephant. I doubt
it's a glider.
It's a glider with an engine. It's one of the
light aircraft then.
Yeah. So he gets in that on his own. He's wandering about in the air, looking down. Like I say, it's loads of land. He's looking for one elephant. He's not having much luck. Anyway, I think he gets to the point when he goes, I'm having no luck, I might as well go home. Goes to turn round. Something happens. The glider falls to the floor, crashes.
Light aircraft.
Yeah. That crashes. He gets out. He's broke his legs. Done his back in. His hands. I mean, he's in a bad way. And he looks at the plane, and that's a wreck. Petrol's coming out of it. He's thinking that's not going to fly again. And he has to lie there, doesn't he, for like 48 hours or something. And in that time, everything's being chucked at him. He has a lion wandering around him. A scorpion walked over his leg. Some sort of dangerous snake went in his shoe.
Yeah.
What else is there out there? Some sort of bad ants. Just everything that's there that could cause a problem. He had it all in his line.
I haven't seen this, but I suspect there's a lot of conjecture in this telling of it.
Bad ants.
Bad ants.
No, just anything that you could think of that's out there to cause you a bit of a problem.
Camels.
He got hot. He got so hot his lips fell off. No, because you have to have a lot of juice to keep your lips sort of how they are.
Right.
So that's the sort of state he was in.
Yeah.
48 hours. And yet he survived in the end. Someone came and found him.
And you thought you were bored doing nothing?
Yeah, no, well,
he didn't even have the internet.
Yeah, but he had a lot of insects.
What would you do then if you landed, right? Supposing we all land, right? We're shipwrecked, okay? There's no food around. But there's a chance we might be saved, like, in a few days. We just got to stay alive just for a few days, okay? Steve offers up his penis.
For what purpose?
Well, it's already, you've torn it in the plane crash anyway, so it's hanging off. You go, okay, listen, lads, let's eat this. This will go 3 ways.
I should be so lucky. Okay, fine, yeah.
I'll look for something else. Because we're surrounded by water. Why are we eating knob? There's loads of fish and everything. There's more fish in the sea than there is stuff on land. That was something else that I've read about how there's more sea life happening. There's loads more.
What do you mean? Than what?
Than stuff happening on land.
Well, yeah, it's a bigger place, isn't it?
Yeah, and there's more. They're all coming further in because it's getting so crowded. Everything's being pushed outwards. So we're going to get to a point where people won't go walking in the sea because there'll be something deadly just floating about on near the shore.
Again, that's no information at all.
I don't know.
There's no information in that statement at all.
Yeah, I said how the sea is so overcrowded that everything's being pushed to the edge.
It's not overcrowded.
It is.
You mean things that are in the sea are being pushed to the edge of the sea?
Yeah, because there's new stuff happening all the time. There's new creatures being made. They're changing quickly. They were saying how, like, I don't know, 50 years ago, jellyfish didn't even have a sting.
That's rubbish. Try 50 million and you'll get closer to the truth.
But what I mean is, in terms of, like, land, we all look the same, don't we? We've had 2 legs and 2 arms for ages. Whereas in the sea, things are changing at a really fast rate. So, like, jellyfish we're knocking about.
The sea is a much more stable environment than the land anyway.
What are you on about?
Well, I wouldn't have thought evolution is any faster in the sea than land.
Yeah, it is.
Well, no, where's the evidence for this?
The
I'm
internet.
telling you now. I'm telling you how jellyfish have changed. And look at them.
And how have they changed then? So 50 years ago they didn't have a sting.
Yeah.
Now they have.
Yeah.
Trilbies, they wore trilbies 50 years ago as well.
And they just spoke with a much more, refined accent.
Just that is quite a lot though, isn't it? Because jellyfish are nothing.
But
like
no,
I
you've
said to
made
you
that
before.
up. That's not a fact. There's no facts come out of this discussion. Not, oh, that's interesting. That you haven't said anything. Jellyfish haven't changed in 50 years.
No, they have. They've changed a lot in terms of...
Well, they haven't changed in hundreds of millions of years, so I don't know what the 60s had to do with anything. I just don't know what influence the Beatles and Mary Quant suddenly had on jellyfish, when they hadn't changed for hundreds of millions of years.
With all this sort of loose, free sex, free love, they were just going berserk.
I know, yeah.
There were no inhibitions amongst the jellyfish anymore.
Things are changing a lot. To think that jellyfish, when they first came out, they were nothing. Jellyfish are nothing, aren't they? They're just a blob. So
when they first came out, when they were first released.
New by Roncal.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, even though they were nothing, they've grown to have a bit of something, just to get by in a busy place.
I don't know what you're talking about. It's all guesswork and conjecture.
It's not guesswork. I've been
It's
off
all
all week.
nonsense.
I've been reading all this and watching stuff.
Carl, you haven't learned anything.
Well, that's not entirely true, because he's obviously learnt enough to have written a poem about some of these subjects.
Oh, I love his poems. Are you getting into poetry now, properly?
I really like it, yeah.
Is Carl going to read this for me, Steve?
If you want him to.
I think so.
I did one about my kidneys.
What was it called?
Didn't have a name, it doesn't need it.
Ode to a Nephron.
Right, I did 2 about jellyfish.
Excellent.
I don't like jellyfish. They're not a fish, they're just a blob. They don't have eyes, fins or scales like a cod. They float about blind, stinging people in the seas, and no one eats jellyfish with chips and mushy peas. Get rid of them. And then there's just a shorter one I did about a jellyfish. It would be spiteful to put jellyfish in a trifle.
Yeah, it certainly would.
So,
That's great! That's really good! Because it's jelly. He's done us this.
Yeah.
That's a really good poem. It would be spiteful to put jellyfish in a trifle.
yeah.
A little half rhyme.
Yeah.
Do you want the one about my kidneys?
Yeah.
For God's sake, me belly ache. The doctor said it's me kidney. He said he's got to stick a tube up me knob. I said, you got to be kidding me. For God's sake, knob ache.
Oh God! I'm sort of mildly disappointed that they're quite good.
Yeah.
No poet's ever written about jellyfish and kidneys. It's great! Oh God, I think you might have the market sewn up there. It would be spiteful to put a jellyfish in a trifle. I mean, I'm both impressed and fascinated and worried by Karl's new literary outlook.
Yeah.
You know, we've said to him, we've tried to make him appreciate the arts and poetry and explaining like what metaphor does and symbolism and all that. But I'm worried it'll backfire, because what if he becomes clever and erudite and then we lose our little endless well of stupidity? What if we lose our little shaved monkey? I mean, these podcasts without,
It's almost like he were evolving into a human.
I mean, you've you've authored a book.
Well, I have to say, I mean, without at the risk of sounding like we're shamelessly promoting it, I've only just looked at the book today, because that's the first time I've seen it, The World of Karl Pilkington, and I was very impressed by how legitimate it feels. I mean, it does feel like an actual book.
He's put so much work into it. I mean,
he's done drawings, he's done extra thoughts and ideas, and it's very odd to think that has probably gone now into the British Library, which I think is obligated to take a copy of every book published.
Incredible.
I mean, let's be honest, it's not going to be on anyone's bookshelf. It'll be on their lavatory cistern, possibly next to their bed. But nevertheless, you know, it's hardback and it's got pages. It's a real book.
Yeah.
Will you now read some great works? Will you read poetry at all? Or?
Probably not. I don't like reading made-up stories because
Fiction.
life's interesting enough, innit?
Right.
If I'm going to read someone else's lies, I might as well make some of my own up and save me money, is what I mean.
But you do read lies and made-up things, you just take them as the truth. Most of the spurious facts and apocryphal tales and ridiculous stories that you read on the internet are, I mean, fiction.
Yeah, but as long as it gets you thinking, then it really doesn't matter. Say, like, you know, I was telling you about the sea being full up.
Yeah.
Right? How there's too many fish in it, and they're all being pushed out. Then, you know, it was saying about how the jellyfish is changing from a bit back, just being a blob, to now being a blob with stingy bits. You go, oh. And then...
No, I don't. I wonder what he read.
And
I wonder what he was reading.
Then I'll think of what other things are in the sea, how are they changing? And then that's when I might do a poem about an octopus with two heads. Because it's got me thinking. So no longer am I just reading someone else's story, spending a full week reading some other story. I've read a little paragraph, and that's got me thinking about
and it's inspired you to make great art.
With an octopus with two heads. And you just think, yeah, that would work. You know, that's a good way for them to evolve. They've got all the arms, give them two heads.
They've got all the arms!
And, you know, it would work, because like I've said to you before, it is one big head to make it two smaller heads. So it's just looking at science, looking at how things can move.
It's not looking at
But it's not looking at science. You then speculating on an octopus having two heads is of no value, is it, to anyone or anything?
But there's people out there who are bringing out books who are writing stuff like that for sci-fi stuff. And I think, why am I reading
But that's
theirs?
entertainment. Everyone knows it's not true. They're doing it to...
But they do more than just say, wouldn't it be great if there was an octopus with two heads? They then paint a world in which this octopus exists and presumably causes some kind of narrative interest.
I can do that on my own, though. Without...
So what's the story of the octopus with two heads?
It's happier in the end. Everyone likes happy ending. He's got company.
But that's not a story, Carl. What? Tell us the story.
What, you made up a story about an octopus with two heads?
No, I'm just saying... I've thought about how the sea's changing. Right, what else is in the sea? Octopus. Right, what's an octopus like? Well, it's just a big head with a load of arms. Right, how would I change that?
I love this thought process!
But it's not a story. This is not a story. It's not anything. It's just some thoughts you've had. It's not...
But a story is there to make you think and have thoughts.
But what is it that you've thought? You've not... I don't see what you've thought here.
I've just thought, yeah, that'd be alright.
I know, but...
Well, like King Kong, then. That's only someone who's gone, oh, monkeys are getting better at stuff.
Yes, but it has a story, doesn't it? They go in search...
No, it isn't. It isn't saying monkeys are getting better at stuff. That's not what it's saying. There's lots of themes, but that's not one of them.
Monkeys are getting better at stuff.
No, they're getting better at stuff. The way they try to he tried to go out with a woman. That's them moving on, isn't it? It's the monkey going, do you know what? I quite fancy her. And you know from the beginning, I mean, that is a story that you go, well, that relationship ain't going to work. Do you know what I mean? I mean, I've not gone out with women who I've quite fancied, but then they smoke. And you go, oh, that's enough to put me off. Yeah. So, when a monkey's that big, the thought wouldn't even pass my mind.
To go on a date.
This could work out. Sometimes it's just, you know, relationships aren't made for each other. Now, that for a story, you wouldn't think it'd go past page 1. Yet you're having a go at me because an octopus has got two heads. Which isn't that weird. When you look at them anyway, I mean, they must be the weirdest thing knocking about on the planet. I'm not kidding you. I've never seen anything so weird. And yet...
He's angry because he's not seen anything so weird as an octopus, so
But it's not yet a story.
What's weird about it? What's strange about an octopus with all the things that could...
Why is it any weirder than a dog?
Because it couldn't be further away from us. A dog has got human eyes. If a jellyfish had a pair of eyes like ours, I probably wouldn't worry about him that much. But like I said to you, it's that way that they haven't got eyes, they're floating about. I can handle some fish, they look like, because they've got eyes, you can make eye-to-eye contact with them. A jellyfish, what are you looking at? It's a snidey thing, like I've said to you. You can see a lot in eyes, do you know what I mean? They say, don't trust him, why? It's his eyes. Jellyfish haven't even got any, and I don't trust them. Whereas if it had them, maybe there'd be the odd one that'd go, oh, that one's alright.
Okay, Carl, I'm just going to throw an animal at you. Tell me how weird it is, what bits annoy you, how you change it, okay? A crab.
How would I change it?
Yeah. Does it annoy you? Do you think it's weird?
They are weird, but they're at that size where they can get away with it.
Yeah, it suits them. Okay, good.
Would I change anything? In a way, you know, what you're saying about things not working, he can't walk forwards. So why hasn't something happened? Why haven't they said, you know what, these arms are too clumsy. We need to have them so they can slot away easier, and we can pull them out when we need them, instead of clumping around with them. Because they do struggle. You see them struggling with their arms. Yet they're still here, they're still doing that, they're still designed that way.
What's the weirdest animal? So you think the octopus is the weirdest animal on Earth?
Yeah. In terms of design and everything, and if you lined everything up, say if I'd come from another planet, and everything was lined up in a row, and they said, right, we're going to give you a crash course in what's knocking about on this planet.
Yeah.
And you go, right, go on then. And you go, this is man, here's woman, here's a dog, here's a cat, here's an octopus, I go, hang on a minute, what is this?
Oh, it's only going really down.
That jingle, of course, signifies another reading from Karl Pilkington's diary. There was an animal in the paper today that I've never before seen. It's called an alpaca. They are gormless looking. The fellow who breeds them said they are easy to look after because they're used to harsh conditions because they normally live in the mountains. The problem with this is they will turn useless eventually, and then if we tried to bung it back on the Andes, they won't like it. It's like how people win these live like a star for a week competitions. They're not good for anyone. Okay.
Do you know what I mean? If something's living somewhere...
But he's not going to send them back to the Andes. He's presumably breeding them for something else.
Yeah, but say if eventually, you know, the world's getting busy, there's hardly any room, and we go, right, what can we shift here? What's getting in our way that we can shift? Well, those funny-looking things came from the Andes, bung them back. All right, then let's put them back. And they go, oh, they don't like it. They're not surviving, they're dying out. Why did we bring them here? Oh, it was closer. Yeah, but look, we've died out now of the...
Sorry, this is not with yourself. This isn't happening. Don't get angry about it like it just happened and you're sick of it. None of this has happened yet.
I'm just looking at how it will happen. Leave them where they were.
But you're getting angry about things that you're speculating on now. It's absurd, Carl. Not once have I read here about your anger about terrorism or international, you know, political injustice. Not once have you written about that. Only about the fact we may send animals back to the Andes.
I know, but just because it just annoyed me, that's all. They brought them here. Some fella's getting a load of praise because they brought this weird animal into the country. And yet, it's like, well, they were on the Andes for a reason. Leave them there. It was happier there. I mean, I feel guilty when I open a bag and a fly flies out of it, and I think, where's that come from?
What bag are you opening with flies? What bag?
No, just when, like, you know, the bag I took the computer home in, a fly flew out of it, and I thought, when did that get in that bag? Wherever brought that from? And it's the same thing. It doesn't want to be somewhere else. It was where it was. And that's the same with this Polaco, or whatever.
Great news! Get $25 cash back on the purchase you just made. Sign up now.
It's amazing! It really is the ramblings of a madman, isn't it?
Some new sea thing has been found.
There's the headlines on the news.
It wasn't found by sea experts, it was found on eBay. Someone was selling it for £5. I don't see the point in buying something that you don't know what it is.
What do you mean? What do you mean? It was...
Someone's found some sort of shell with a thing living in it.
Right.
They thought, oh, I've never seen one of these before, I can flog it on eBay. Someone bought it and then wanted to look after it, went to some sea expert, and they said, oh, I don't know what that is. That's the story. It's just
Great
weird
news.
how
Now you can get
stuff's
up to
being found on
$25
eBay.
cash
No, it wasn't
back
found
on
on
any
eBay, though,
buy.com
was it?
purchase.
Yeah, but that's where the specialist people sort of picked up on it. It's just weird that, I mean, all I was saying is I wouldn't want one. If you don't know how to, if it's a new creature, you don't know what makes it happy. When you get a kitten, you go, stroke its head, loves it, right? And you can do that knowing that it's liking it. If I had a little seashell and you go, does it sit in water? I don't know. Do you know what I mean? You could end up doing more damage. So that's why I wouldn't want it. It's nice to have rules in it. It's nice to know what you're doing with something.
Well, as you write in the diary, it's like if an alien landed and wanted to live with you. As much fun as it might sound, it wouldn't be long before you got annoyed with it because it wouldn't eat the food you gave it.
That's what I'm saying, but I couldn't have a go at it because it might not like pasta.
It might not.
Everyone likes pasta.
Wow. That's it for another week. I hope you've enjoyed this half hour of drivel. I mean, some of the most stupid things ever said. I mean, it's like he's got a contempt now for the world. Like, he doesn't care what comes out of his head.
Learning can be frustrating, can't it? You know, you maybe I'm getting you thinking, maybe on your way home today you'll be going, yeah, octopus with two heads. And if you do that for 5 seconds, I've done my job.
Good to have a job in it. So, from me, Ricky Gervais, goodbye. From Steve Merchant.
Goodbye.
And from Karl Pilkington.
All right.
This is Audible.
Hello and welcome to number 4 in the series of 6, season 3 of the Ricky Gervais Show with me, Ricky Gervais, Stephen Merchant.
Hello.
And Karl Pilkington.
All right.
Yeah, first of all, I'm sorry to do this, but me and Steve have got to bring something up that's been bugging us for a couple of weeks now, but it's reached... you are so fucking lazy, Karl, at the moment. You have time off... Right, you go away every weekend, so me and Steve are so precious at the moment with so many things to do, with extras and books coming out and stuff. I've never heard anyone whinge about going in with kidney stones. I know loads of people that had kidney stones.
Like
They've had no, you say not like that because they've had the operation. I know people that had their appendix out, right, an actual under the knife operation, and he was back at work the next day and he had a bit of a sore side. But you have whinged now for weeks and weeks. Everything you say, oh, I've had this, oh, I've got to go in again. But you're still well enough to go away every weekend to see your folks or your in-laws,
this is the problem.
or a holiday. And it's just like we are so, sometimes you've got to pull together, mate.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, you say keep a diary, and you said make sure you do a diary for a year.
Yeah.
If I didn't go and visit people and travel the world, what would I do in it?
Karl, I read your diary every week. All you seem to do is spend time in a cafe, having a cup of tea and a bit of breakfast.
That's the
Who
weekend, that's
are
when
you
people do
constantly
stuff.
visiting?
Anyway, let's not argue.
You don't even
People
like
know
your
why we're
family, I
arguing.
thought.
It's not my family, is it?
Well,
Suzanne's family.
You don't
But
like
you
anyone.
work.
Why are you visiting?
But you say I'm working that weekend. I'm working that weekend. We have to put. Let's put this in first.
No,
it's a busy time.
Family's important, isn't it?
Yeah.
You can't keep messing people
But this
about.
is all you have to do.
What else
there's
are you
loads of
doing?
doing.
What other job have you got?
Loads of stuff. I don't want to go into what I'm doing, but I've got loads
Well,
of
all
stuff.
I hear is you're always having meetings.
I
You're
know,
always
yeah.
going from meetings.
Yeah, I know, yeah,
I don't know what that
yeah,
means,
yeah,
meetings.
yeah.
Right, anyway.
Another meeting in a bloody cafe.
Yeah.
Right,
So, no, seriously though. So, you've been on your travels, you've got lots to talk about, so...
Yeah, I've got to go in hospital again as well, haven't I? So,
What's your current state with your old...
I don't want to go on about it.
Well, no, I mean, you've brought it up.
You're fine, you're well enough to go away, you're well enough to go on holiday, you're well enough to visit people, you went on a train, you went to Manchester, you must be well enough, so you're well enough to do this.
I went back to Bristol at the weekend. I had a bit of time off, as you know, because Carl couldn't do the work. So
I know.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
So we all had a nice time.
No, I didn't. I went to Bristol when I was working.
That's all right. But
Well,
he's
exactly.
still visiting a place, is what I'm saying.
Well, that's a ridiculous thing to say. That's like saying a pilot doesn't work because he's visiting a place.
No, because he doesn't visit it. He
No,
doesn't
you
get out
sit
the
down
plane.
on your arse. Sometimes you hire a car, so you can't be reading or studying. You're driving for 6 hours.
Yeah.
I went there working. We went to America. We were working. I went to Bristol. I was working.
Oh, shut up.
Ooh.
Do you know what I mean?
Getting a bit uppity.
The truth hurts, Stephen.
The truth does hurt, and it's interesting that
Yeah.
he suddenly snapped at you there.
I know.
Because I wondered to myself, if it weren't for you, Mr. Ricky Gervais, what would this man, this little round-headed man, be doing right now?
Fuck all, Stephen. Fuck all.
Yeah, I went back to Bristol at the weekend. As we know, we all had a bit of time off. And, actually, I was quite annoyed because I passed the pub near where my parents live, and they had a band on. You know, pubs sometimes have a band on. And the name of the band, I'm disappointed that I missed them. The name of the band, Rick, was Loose Change. But what I like about Loose Change is it's the least evocative name for a band, isn't it? It's not
amazing.
sexy, it's nothing. It's got no kind of mood or feel to it at all.
Loose change.
It's just,
Welcome. Rough outline.
yeah.
It's just nothing.
The checkbook stubs.
Pocket fluff.
yeah, yeah. But while I was at my parents' house, they often, they keep clippings of things, if we've been mentioned in the papers, they like to keep a record of them and stuff, because, I like to show it to my grandparents, and keep fully abreast of things. And, I managed to find a couple of them. This is what, I don't know if you've heard this, Carl. It's, for people who don't realise, Carl was making a couple of little 3-minute TV projects recently that were on Channel 4. And in the Sunday Times, someone's written a letter about Carl to the Sunday Times.
Wow.
They can send in comments and views on things they've seen, read, heard.
Oh, excellent.
And this is what someone wrote to the Sunday Times. Who is Karl Pilkington? And why have I just wasted 5 minutes of my life listening to some of his cretinous thoughts on Channel 4? He asked, why are there so many dinosaurs on display in museums? Quotes, couldn't they just choose the best one and just show that? He summed it all up by deciding that we know too much. Somebody clearly doesn't know enough to know that this is a complete waste of airtime, showing no wit, intellect or creativity. That's from Wendy Robinson in Berkshire.
You can't have your critics. You know what I mean?
You've got to have your critics.
Of course you have. If everybody liked what you did, then you're not doing the right thing.
She wasted 5 minutes, and they were 3-minute wonders, so it must have felt
Yeah.
2/3 as long again.
But think how angry she must have been to have bothered writing this letter to the Sunday Times.
Well, that's good.
I mean,
though.
you
It's made her
really
do
must
something.
have-
It's all about getting people thinking. That's what I always say to you. As long as I'm getting people thinking about what I've said, she remembered what I said.
But what views did you put out in these short films which you feel people perhaps should be talking about, discussing, digesting, thinking about?
Just stuff that was in my head that day when I was filming them.
Yeah.
Is it in your head now?
Some of it is. Now you've remembered me what I said.
Now you what?
Now you've sort of told me what I said in that one. Yeah, I remember saying that.
Yeah.
And I stick by it.
Remember him some other stuff?
Yeah.
I'll tell you now, right? This, if I don't know if Wendy's, listen to this. But,
Almost certainly not.
But listen, right? I was saying about the museums, right, and how they're big and everything, and they've
Brilliant.
got dinosaurs all over the shop. I read that in that museum, they've got something like 7 million bits of stuff in there, right? Now, when I spend 2 hours in somewhere, just show me the good stuff. Don't be saying we've got 7 million bits. Because there was a fella who opened it, right? I did a bit of research on the museum. Fella who opened the museum up.
What was his name?
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Doesn't matter, does it?
What museum was it?
It was the London one.
Oh, the London one, yeah, okay.
So he's in there and he's collecting all this, bits of stuff.
What stuff?
Just whatever's knocking about at that
Oh,
time.
right, okay.
It seemed like
You have researched it.
he never chucked anything away. He's like, I won't put it in the bin, pop it on a shelf.
Okay,
right? So
yeah.
he's put everything on a shelf in
right,
the
yeah.
museum. Then as time
I
went
think you're
on,
going into too much detail, but just give us the gist of it.
No, but all I'm saying is, he keeps everything, and if you keep everything, sometimes it'll be good stuff, right? And a lot of the stuff was going missing, the good stuff. But people who set these museums up are just as crafty.
What?
The fella who found Tutankhamun, he was pocketing all sorts of fingers and stuff in his pockets on the way out. that had rings on them and stuff. So all I'm saying is, why is she having a go?
But
She's
hang on,
learned
wait,
something.
what's that got to do with someone pocketing? I don't understand your point.
Because she's sort of moaning at me, going, "Don't have a go at the museum and the dinosaurs." But
No,
everybody,
she's having a go at your fatuous point.
Yeah, you're absolutely uneducated,
But,
stupid point that you got TV time to talk absolute shit, if I could
that's not
paraphrase
my fault, is
Wendy.
it? That's not my fault. If someone says they want me to do a little programme and you can do what I want, I went and did what I did. Free speech, innit?
But we just gave you the chance then to defend yourself, and you just confirmed Wendy's point 1,000 times over. What was all this waffle about people nicking stuff? What's that got to do with anything?
Because she's having a go at me. I didn't nick
But she's
anything.
having a go at you for talking nonsense that's of no consequence, which is what you just did
What
then.
sort of nonsense?
But what was your point?
Oh, all right, then we'll watch Wendy's little programme when that goes out. Let's see what she's got to talk about. Sick of her.
So anyway, as I say, my mother saves various clippings and things which may be of interest. This was recently in the Daily Mail, in one of those kind of gossip columns. Ricky Gervais's cringe-worthy dance routine as managerial buffoon David Bren was undoubtedly the highlight of BBC comedy The Office. Perhaps credit for the scene should not go to Gervais, however, but his lanky co-writer Stephen Merchant. For I hear that 6'7" Merchant has been attracting a great deal of female attention at the so-and-so pub in North London, until he took to the dance floor with Brent-esque results. Says my mole, most of the feminine throng looked away in embarrassment. Putting it kindly, he was rather ungainly, like a giant albatross hopping on stilts. Right, now then, I'll take issue with this, because firstly...
You wouldn't be attracting female attention in the first place.
Rick, if I had been, I'd have phoned the Mail myself. Point A... Right, I seem to remember distinctly I was talking to one of my mates the whole night and we were discussing about the fact we were too shy to talk to girls. So wrong there.
Yeah.
Point two, as you well know, if I take to the dance floor, which on this occasion I didn't, I remember distinctly not because I love to dance, I would not have been described as a giant albatross hopping on stilts because Karl has seen me dance, you've seen me dance, you know I'm a good mover.
Yeah.
Just in the same way that people can't quite understand how Peter Crouch, the same height as me,
Yeah.
is able to be so brilliant on the football field.
Yeah.
It's the same. People look at me when I'm dancing, they go, I don't know how that big guy is able to bust some of those kind of moves.
Yeah.
I've won 2 dance contests in my life. Those facts, those stats speak for themselves, Rick.
I know.
I mean, you've seen me dancing, how would you describe me?
I think that you look like isn't an albatross, isn't it? So you look like, an upright lizard, right, being given electroshock treatment. And I think that's a lot fairer, isn't it, than the albatross nonsense?
Well, so I'm just trying to picture that, because again, was that a compliment? You were on my side, right? You were defending me there.
A cross between a giant lizard and a stick insect.
Again, because they don't sound, straight away they don't sound like compliments, but I'm assuming you're on my side here.
Stick insect with funny glasses? Is that?
I thought, I was thinking you were perhaps being a bit touch more supportive, but you've not really... Carl, you've seen me dance, what are your views?
It's just like a bit of weird art.
That's brilliant! That is brilliant! That's so much better than albatross!
I wouldn't have said an albatross. I was looking at one of them the other day, and I don't understand what they mean by that, because they're dying out. They say, they dive in the sea.
Oh, it's gone. Yeah. Something happened in the brain. It went from the point we were making, via an albatross, then it just shot off. It just ping like a pinball.
Well, let's hear, because it's going to be another good point.
No, it's just saying how, because I've never seen one, and they were saying, how would you feel if you never saw one again? And I was like, I've got by this long without it. It's not bothered me. But it was just sort of saying, what they do is they dive in the sea, sort of put their head under the water, see if there's any fish knocking about, grab one, get out again, right?
Yeah.
Go to land. I don't know if they're designed to do that.
Well, obviously they are.
No, because seagulls are, because you see them floating about. Now, what's happening is, they're doing that, but getting caught in nets.
Well, that's it. The net shouldn't be there. That's the point. They're totally adapted to their environment, but we came along, millions and millions of years afterwards, and stitched them up. It's not like people are going, well, the nets were always there. How did they evolve without getting caught in the net? We invented the net. We've only been knocking around for a few 100,000 years.
But what I'm saying is, it's that thing about animals learn by mistakes by other animals, you know, like the monkeys peeling potatoes.
Right. That's never happened. They go and put nuts in the salt water to salt the nut.
Whatever.
How does that get to peeling potatoes? Because in your head, they were working in a canteen.
Making chips.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
It doesn't matter what the food is. I'm just saying how they know how to sort of prepare
I
that
love
food.
the fact that you don't care what the fact is. When you're discussing facts, that's all that matters. Otherwise, on Mastermind, they just go, who wrote Much Ado About Nothing? Dickens? Yeah, close enough, whatever, someone did. The fact is what matters.
Yeah, but with that question, that's got a straightforward answer. What I'm telling you is the way that animals work. If it's a potato or a nut, it's a foodage.
And once again, I return you to my question as before. What's your point? What point were you making?
I'm just saying an albatross will find... If you're hungry, you find food or you change your diet. If you don't eat something else, you die out. Simple. Said before. If you want a pie, but they haven't got any pies, you have a pasty. Alter your diet. And an albatross...
Drastically.
Yeah,
pies
radical.
Yeah, you said. Completely changing my diet. No more pies. What are you eating? Pasty. Brilliant. I'm not going to eat quiche anymore. I'm going to have a tartlet.
But you're getting more and more sort of single-minded in your...
No, single-celled.
Yeah.
It's not, though.
In your belief that everything you say has got some kind of profound implication and that no one else is listening, that we're all ignorant,
All right.
we're all not listening to what you're saying.
Here's another one.
Go
Here's
on.
something else I discussed.
Oh, come on. This will be good.
In series
This will
one.
be as good as E equals MC squared.
The people aging backwards idea.
Well, it's not an idea.
They've done something on it, saying how
No, they haven't.
a baby has been messing about with emails. Right?
Right.
Oh,
Yeah,
God!
a 65-year-old doesn't know how to use email. So, again, my system works. So say if you're an old person, you're not using the internet, but you shouldn't be anyway. Because you should be sort of just getting used to life as an old person. When you're a baby and you're about to die, they're using the internet.
I don't know what you mean, when you're a baby and you're about to die.
This is if
This
this
is the
was
aging
your
backwards
world. If
idea,
it was
yeah.
your world. Well, let me just ask a couple of
Sorry,
questions.
that makes no sense at all. What you just that makes no sense
I'm just saying
at all.
that my theory...
You may as well have hit a wok
what I'm
to
saying-
express that point, because they're...
Yeah. The pong that would have made more sense.
this
It
is
would be
why-
more profound.
This is why
more resonant.
This is why Wendy's having a go, though, because you're not being open-minded. You're not thinking about...
But we're being open-minded to good ideas, to sensible thought, to intellectual considerations. We're not being open-minded to this utter drivel.
Yeah, but every invention is a bit... Who'd have thought the Frisbee would have caught on?
That's not... I don't think that can count as an invention, though.
Of course it is. People are paying for it. Someone said, I'm going to invent something
But
you can
people
chuck
are paying
about.
for carrots. But they're not an invention. Because you pay for something, it doesn't mean it's an invention.
No, but a man-made thing. A Frisbee, it didn't grow off a tree, did it? Someone's made that and gone, I can sell this. And people are buying it. You know, all I'm saying is things change, don't they? You know, the albatross is dying out. The way, like when I walked into the flat, right, we've had hot weather, haven't we? We've had a lot of flies knocking about. Now, when I was younger, I never saw flies sort of hanging about in gangs. Whereas...
I don't know what world this is. Would they have little motorbikes?
No, you know, just you'd sort of see one would get in the house, you know, my dad would kill it or whatever, but you'd never see three. You wouldn't be going, oh, which one am I going to get first and everything. They'd come in, they'd exit out of a window or whatever. Whereas I walked in on a bit of activity.
There's nothing to eat here.
Right? 3 flies in the flat, right? All sort of whizzing around.
Right.
All together, right? So I just sort of think, oh, you know, let them be. They seem to be happy. You know, they're playing around with each other, right? Sat down, reading the paper, look up, right? It was like one was trying to like have it away with one of the flies, and the other one was having a go as well. It turned out it was a little fly that didn't want any of the action, but 2 were attacking it.
How could you possibly gauge that?
Just by watching. That's how you learn, isn't it? You watch. You watch.
But no, this is conjecture again. You had no idea what was going on there.
No, I did. It's the way they were sort of jumping on it and stuff, and I was like, oh, I'm not happy with this going on, and under my roof sort of thing.
My house, my rules.
But it's a nightmare because it's small. You can't control it. You don't know which one's which. You might end up sort of pushing out one. That's the baddie.
What are you
and you're pushing
talking
out,
about?
I'm just saying.
Why are you getting involved?
Just because creatures are changing all the time.
What are you talking about? What point are you making?
I'm just saying the way that flies used to be happy-go-lucky, on their own. The sun's out, have a fly about.
Whereas nowadays...
now, there was like little attacks going on.
Oh God,
But how could you tell which were the two aggressors and which was the victim? How could you distinguish?
This was the problem. I mean, all I was looking at was which one they kept attacking. And I was thinking if I can get that one in the bedroom and then get the other two out the window.
What are you...
Just breaking it up. Because what sort of a person would it be to let that go on?
I don't know what he's talking about. He has no feelings for anything. He doesn't care if whole species die out. Why are you getting involved?
That's where you're wrong, because I think more than most people. I think there's a lot of people who just go through the motions.
Yeah.
They do the same thing every day. They can do a job, but that's all they stick to. They don't think about what are them flies doing.
Carl,
what's that
I've known
doing?
you for, I don't know, 4 years, and all you ever say is things like, why do we have jellyfish?
No, I haven't mentioned the jellyfish today.
But it's the same old shit. You look at something, you make up your own story, and then your conclusion annoys you, even though it's totally fatuous.
Like I say, the man with the frisbee, what happens if he had a mate who said, rubbish that, he wouldn't have done it?
I love the fact that you think the frisbee is the pinnacle of invention.
Yeah.
I think it's amazing.
No, it's an example of something that, if he was on some programme where you said, I've invented this, he'd go, get out. They wouldn't give him time of day to say, right, I've made this thing, it's out of plastic, you throw it about. What for? Well, you just chuck it about on the beach. What's the point? It's a bit of fun, isn't it? No, I don't like it.
That was an argument with himself.
No, but do you know what I mean? It's a popular little thing, and I'm just saying it's easy to put ideas down.
But you've never even come up with an idea as good as the frisbee, and that's saying something.
I came up with a clippable mat that goes on a cup, and it's a good little thing. I haven't followed it through yet.
A what?
A clippable mat.
What's a clippable mat? What does that
Clippable
involve?
mat that you stick on a cup, so you can put your cup down on a table without having to go, oh, where's that mat? It's clipped to the cup all the time. And you put the cup down wherever you want because it's got a mat on it.
I think I've seen that.
But why does it have to be clipped to it? Why couldn't it just be built into the cup?
Because,
So it clips onto, you've got to have special cups. It doesn't clip onto every cup.
No, but just the same way that every saucer's different. You don't say, oh, I'm sick of this saucer, it doesn't fit a mug. You use the saucer that... I mean, I don't use saucers. Just don't buy that sort of
But isn't a saucer what you're talking about?
Kind of, yeah, but it's clippable.
But why is the clippability so important to you?
So you don't have to keep finding the mat when you put the cup down. It's constantly clipped to the
But why does it have to be clippable? Because that suggests it's removable. Why not just have something where it's constantly attached? What's to stop you from losing that in much the same way as you lose the coasters?
Do we need this? Do we need a clippable coaster?
But let's ask him like it's the Dragon's Den. Let's ask him now.
What?
We've got money to invest on your clippable cup. Now pitch this idea to us. How would you sell this idea to us?
You just said, what was your question then?
Brilliant. So you're not listening. Let's start again.
I am.
Okay, imagine you walked in.
What is it for? What is it for? Is it a coaster to stop the heat from the cup burning the varnish?
Rick, let him explain it.
Or is it a saucer to stop spills?
Let's have you pitch this idea to us. Just you've never met us before. You were investors. Tell us, explain this to us. Sell it to us.
Right. We're living in a world where furniture is important to people. They spend a lot of money on it, don't they, furniture? There's so many furniture shops out there.
Yeah.
All different types of wood from all over the world.
Absolutely, yeah.
Right? If something's come from the Amazon, you don't want a coffee stain on it.
No, you don't know.
Right. But we're living in a world as well where people don't use saucers.
When you
go out and buy, because people...
What do you mean we live in a world where they don't use saucers? Yeah, there's loads of saucers, yeah.
Because I know people who buy cups singly.
Right.
Because there's only 2 people living in a flat, so you don't buy a big box, because in a big box of like plates and that, you get things like, what's the plate that's above a saucer but below a plate?
the plate that's above a saucer, but below a plate. So it's a plate, but it's below a plate.
But it's a size that you sort of go, what am I doing with this?
So, what would it be? A side plate?
Maybe,
A
but
plate that you'd have alongside your regular dinner plate, right?
You put a bread roll on or something in a restaurant.
Maybe,
Yeah, okay.
but you
What's
don't
your
need
point? What do you
No,
mean? there's a-
this is fascinating to me. Because this is his best attempt now to try and attract investment.
do you know where your mats are at home?
I haven't got mats. Don't use them
Why not?
because it doesn't bother me. I haven't got any highly polished furniture from the Amazon.
Right, Steve, have you got any sort of...
I've got some coasters and I use the coasters.
And do you know where they are when you need one?
Well, yes, because they're always at the place where I would normally put down a mug of hot tea, i.e. on a table or a coffee table.
Right, now,
If I had a highly polished table from the Amazon, I'd keep my coasters on it.
Yeah, but what I'm saying now is, what happens if you get up with your cup of tea, you're a busy man, right? This is what I'm saying, we're living in a world where people are busier than ever.
Go on.
Not everybody can sit down and enjoy a cup of tea sat in the same place.
Right.
You get up and you might move into another room.
Well, you haven't got a polished table in there from the Amazon, so it doesn't
No,
matter.
but you might be working on another expensive table
Oh, fine, we'll have a coaster there
that
as
has
well
a
then.
computer on.
My question is this. One, does it fit all mugs? Or do I have to buy a special mug to have this special
Well,
bit
we
attached?
can work it whatever way you want. We can either look at the standard size mug and say, let's appeal to everyone, or we can get in touch with some mug company,
How is it clipped?
just like little plastic clips that clip onto it,
Yeah.
and then you clip it off and you clean it. They're dishwasher proof, by the way.
I don't need that
But
at all.
why can't you just make a mug that has something built in the base of the mug to prevent it from making the mark?
No, I don't
It's
need
only
that.
the heat that makes the mark, isn't it, really?
I just want to say now, it's a pointless idea, and I'm out.
Right, but what about the idea that you've just suggested then, with the mug with the saucer built in?
Yeah.
What about will we do that together?
But that's not your idea, that's my idea.
Yeah, but without my idea, you wouldn't have had that.
Well, but that's absurd. We're having a conversation, I've come up with an idea, now I've got the money.
do you
I've
want-
got the money,
do you
and
want
I'm going to go off with that idea.
Yeah, you haven't painted it anyway, and it's a rubbish idea, and you couldn't
It's not
paint.
rubbish, because I've just thought as well, that'll be good for putting biscuits on the side as well.
Oh God!
Okay, no,
And
let's
that
not.
means we can get rid of that plate that I don't know
By
what
the
to do
way,
with.
now this is broadcast, you can never patent this idea because it's out in public domain.
Rick, why don't we see if there's anyone out there who's willing to invest in this idea? Are you a mug manufacturer? Are you a mug designer? Are you someone who's got any interest whatsoever in this idea? Do you think it's a saleable idea? And more importantly, would it be not great to have a picture of Carl's face on the mat?
Because it's perfectly round.
Perfectly round.
As well, and you'd scold him every time
Yeah.
you,
So there'd be a certain satisfaction in that.
Yeah, well, if Peter Jones is listening, or that Ballantyne fella, or, what's his name?
Any of the big investors on that show, or indeed
yeah.
any investors anywhere, podcast@rickygervais.com. Get in touch. Tell us how we can move forward with this brilliant new idea.
Pathetic.
Ouch, he's gone and written down the little...
The jingle that signifies another reading from Karl Pilkington's diary. Got up and put the radio on. I listened to the story that the vicar read on Radio 2.
Yeah, that could be good.
He was saying how Jesus was 33 when he died. He said he was more into the idea of doing a lot in your life than living for ages. This was linked to the news about the doctor who's come up with some stuff that he's been injecting himself and his wife with that makes you age better. I looked it up on the internet. It wasn't worth them doing it because they are already old looking. I don't know why people want to stay looking young. You can wear a bald head better if you're old because hairs are replaced by wrinkles.
That's drivel.
No, it's not drivel. It's just
A pointless entry to a diary, that.
it's not, because that could be like an important bit in like world history.
What?
The fact that someone's trying to make people not age. Age is good, isn't it? When you see an old
That's been
person.
going forever.
Was?
People trying to age better.
No, but he's talking about if you're 90, he wants people to look like they're 30. And that's not good, because how would the world run when that's going on?
Well, I agree. But
You know, when
again,
people-
it's not a revelation.
If I like chatting to old people, because they know a lot of stuff. So if I'm sat on a train and someone's old, I'm happier talking to them about...
They get up and move after about 10 minutes.
Well, he
No,
likes
but
the fact
they-
that many of them are infirm and can.
Yeah, they have to stay there and listen to this one.
But yeah, even that means that they're getting more out of life in a way, because they don't move about as much, so they have more thinking time. It is weird how that happens to you as you get closer to death.
Jesus.
You know, you're not working as much because you're resting, and you can think back about your life, and you can think, oh, I had a good one. Actually, it's not been that bad. Whereas if...
But you must have started that now, because you've been doing nothing for the past 3 months.
Yeah, but I'm just, well, like I'm saying, it is a good thing for you to do, to sort of think about what you've been doing with your days and your weeks.
And how do you assess your life so far? With all this spare time you've had in your hands and moping around and moaning about your illness and just sitting round, right? You've been introspecting, have you?
Yeah.
Go on then. What have you come up with?
I haven't come up with anything. I'm just, I'm just, you know, I have an all right life, and things are changing.
Oh, keep saying that.
No, but you don't know how much they are changing, to the point of, I don't know if I mentioned the squirrel eating Mars bars, but from that, from that happening to monkeys opening bottles with lids on them, to it's mental out there. It's madness what is going on. And all I'm saying is old people need to be old people. You need oldness. You need to see old people. You need to go, right, they might have a solution. They've been on the earth longer. Quick, we need an answer. How old are you? I'm 32. Well, you look 78.
I don't know what you're saying! I don't know who that conversation was with, why you got angry, and I think you made the opposite point that you were making at the beginning. If you say you're 32, you look 78, no, you were saying about it'd be a problem if you were 78 and looked 32. Well, I don't know what you're saying. You came down the wrong side then. You did that whole thing and you bollocksed it up again in your brain.
I'm just saying, either way, you need to have people who look old. Otherwise, who's in charge?
I don't know what you mean.
Right.
So you say so you're saying it'd be alright to make 78-year-olds look 32, as long as there were some 32-year-olds that look 78, as long as you've got old-looking people.
No, but say
Can I tear this page out? Because it's worthless.
What I mean is, when I went to the doctors, I saw the specialist, right, about the kidney stones. I was asking him all the straight questions.
Go on.
Is it life-threatening?
No.
You know, how long am I going to be out?
Couple
All the
of
rest
days.
of it, right? Now,
As it turned out, it is life-threatening, and you've been out for 3 months whinging about the fucking thing. Strange.
Now, he was quite old. He looked about 55, and that reassured me in a way. In a way, it didn't, because he's one of them doctors who didn't open his eyes much, and I kind of thought, I hope you
I
open
don't know
them
what you're
wider.
talking about. What do you mean?
What?
What do you mean he didn't open his eyes much?
One of those sort of doctors who's either that overworked, that he does that, you know, when he's tired, so he's going, right, what we're going to do is, and he's doing that with his eyes shut, he's talking like that.
This is radio.
I know, but I'm telling you, so you can see.
But people are meant to be listening to this.
But if they can't imagine me with my eyes shut...
Well, tell him you got your eyes shut. Just say he had his eyes shut.
Yeah, he had his eyes shut.
Had he been reading this? Bored stupid, I imagine. He's just trying to get a...
Well, do you know what I mean? Or I don't know if it's because he's tired or if he's that educated that some people know so much you don't even have to look at it.
You don't know what you're talking about.
Intelligent people.
Who is so educated that they don't need to open their eyes?
You see it, you see like...
Who's that? Who's that bloke up there? Is he blind? No, he's been reading too much. He doesn't open his eyes anymore, doesn't he? No.
Old people who you see wearing tweed and what have you, and they're really posh and they talk, and whenever they talk their eyes are shut and they
I
open...
don't know what this observation is.
I don't understand why you've never seen that.
I've never seen an old, educated man wearing tweed who doesn't bother open his fucking eyes.
Steve,
I don't know what you're talking about.
Steve, have you seen... Do you know what I mean? When people don't sort of open their eyes when they're talking to you, and it can be quite annoying, because it's like they're saying, I'm not interested about you sat there, I'm not bothered if you're listening, I'm saying what I'm saying because I say what I say. And it can be quite annoying.
If he has got his eyes closed, he's probably just trying to absorb what you're saying and think carefully about
probably.
it, so he doesn't misdiagnose you.
I'm not having a go at him.
Well, it sounds
I'm
like
just
you are.
saying he was 50-odd, and I was happy that he was there telling me...
I don't know why you were watching his eyes when he was telling you about your insides.
Because you can tell a lot by people's eyes. That's what I said about jellyfish. But, you know, just lines in a face tell a few stories, and I don't think we should get rid of them lines.
Brilliant.
Wise words.
Well, that's the end of show number 4 in this 3rd series of the Ricky Gervais Show. So it's goodbye from me, Ricky Gervais, Stephen Merchant,
Goodbye.
and of course, Karl Pilkington.
Right?
Audible hopes you've enjoyed this programme. This is Audible.
Well, here we are, number 5 in a series of 6 of the Ricky Gervais Show, with me, Ricky Gervais, Stephen Merchant.
Hello there.
And Karl Pilkington.
All right.
Well, Karl, you are officially a published author. Your book came out, The World of Karl Pilkington, and a copy will go in the British Library.
Will it?
Well, they
Yeah.
have to take every rubbish. I think it'll go in the British Library lavatory.
From
From what I understand, it'll be in there with like a collection of like novelty postcards and maybe
exactly.
a Viz compendium. But, you know.
Yeah, so they take everything. Just think of that.
But is that a rule they set up when books were more important to people? And now it's kind of like, oh, I wish we never said we'd do that.
Well, they have to add 2 miles of shelves every year, apparently.
That's what I mean. Now, surely, you know, they change a lot of other rules, don't they? They used to allow people having their head cut off. And now they've gone, we shouldn't do that anymore, so we'll sort that. Why don't they just say, only so many books a year, make it in there? Ones that are important to the future.
But who knows what's important to the future?
Well, you know, normally, when I say something that I think's a good point...
Yeah, but you're always wrong.
No, but what I mean is when I say something that I think I have got a point there...
Yeah, but you're always wrong.
But why do they do this? Why do they think they've got to keep everything? Because we're living in a world now where everything is sort of binnable, and you know we use stuff for what it is.
Well,
I think you could say that.
Oh,
It's
that's fine.
binnable,
That's
yeah.
fine.
There was a sort of poetry to it, but I think he stumbled across that. I don't think it was intentional.
Yeah, I mean, I still haven't got over last week him saying foodage.
Do you know what I mean, though? That the world's changed, so why is that rule still hanging around when...
Well, it's not a rule. I mean, it's not a rule that, you know, the country's going to, you know, live and die by. It's just that it is seen as a repository for knowledge, for information, and I don't believe any old Joe can wander in there and get one of these books. I think you have to either be a scholar. I think maybe it's open for a brief window for students, but you know, you can just wander in there and see your own book, Karl. You know,
There are
even though you're
some books that they have to turn the page for you in gloves, so the amino acids.
I'd hate that.
With yours, it won't matter. They just go, it's over there, or they throw it to you.
No, it's just...
Or they slide it along the floor.
They say, oh, I can't give it to you, Karl, because it's propping up this desk.
Yeah, they kick it to you and say, put it in the bog when you're finished with it.
It's just that thing of being timed, though. I hate it when people go, oh, have you read this? And then I can't read it properly because I'm thinking they're thinking I'm taking ages here. Do you know what I mean? So I have to scan read it. And I go, oh, it's good, that. And they go, what do you think? And I go, oh, about what? So I hate the fact that someone stood there with gloves on, because that isn't normal, relaxing sort of reading, is it?
But it's not, you don't go in to read the Doomsday Book, let's say, in order to just have a relaxing read. You're going in there to study
There
it,
are
you know, historically.
say they're professors and scholars and scientists and historians. They don't wander in because it's raining and they go, what's a good read?
There's not a man wearing white gloves turning the pages of the latest Jackie Collins.
Exactly. Do you have heat?
Watching your lips move as you read to see if you should turn the next page.
I suppose I shouldn't really feel guilty, because at the end of the day, right, I mean, people always rave about Shakespeare, saying, oh, you know, his work was good. But
Brilliant.
at the same time...
He'll probably put that on the book when he brings another one out. He'll put your review on it.
Yeah.
Oh, that was good. Karl Pilkington.
But at the same time, you know, like, some people will have a go. I'm ready for people having a go, like that Wendy did about My Little Films Are Made. There's always people...
Wendy
now
Robinson.
Yeah, you know...
It's her opinion.
For those
Yeah,
of you who
so-
didn't hear
and-
last week, she slammed Karl.
No, well, you know, each to their own and that. And, you know, if everyone liked the same thing, I don't know what we'd do, right?
Sure.
You don't know anything.
So all I'm saying is, everybody raves about Shakespeare, when, if you properly looked at what he did, he invented a lot of swearing words, right? Effing and jeffing and that. Now,
That was one of his.
Well, it's Effin' and Jeffin' Part 2. Did he make up a great deal of swear words? I don't know that I'm aware of this.
A lot of them are Shakespeare invented. But all I'm saying is, for some reason, when things are brought out years ago, people say they're good even though they're not, is what I mean.
But let's not mistake the fact that Shakespeare is not, he's not, people seem to confuse him as though they think he wrote these things in order to be read. He wrote them to be performed. They're plays. They're not books in the traditional sense. He didn't bring out the latest book.
No, but just when something's old, it gets a bit more respect, is what I mean. When I was watching that documentary about the real Indiana Jones,
Brilliant.
they dug out some rocks with drawings on, And they were like, oh, don't damage them, don't mark the paint. And it's like, it's rubbish. He was like a stick fella with a yak. And now, if that was found now, or if a kid showed me that, I'd go, hey, it's not that good. So what I mean is, because stuff's old stuff gets respect.
But you're not judging it on its aesthetic merits, you're judging it on its historical importance.
I don't think that's fair, though, because when that fella drew that, it wasn't old. He did it when he was knocking about.
No, yes, but you must see the difference between you doing a stick man on a wall with a bit of chalk near your local and a cave painting that they date to 10,000 years ago.
Yeah, so in 10,000 years' time, when they find my story about the monkey fireman, will it gain more respect then than it is now?
No, less.
But why is it?
Because people will more and more realise what a buffoon you are. The more research we do, the more these podcasts we do, the more you expose yourself as an empty, egg-headed moron.
That's a friend speaking right there, Richard Gervais.
No,
he loves you like a brother.
I just think, you've mentioned him before, Steve, this Peeps fella.
Yes.
Has he done anything else apart from a diary? Because now I've done a book and a diary.
That means you're better than Peeps,
well,
is what you're thinking,
well,
isn't it?
I'm not going to say that until I know, but what else did he do?
Well, Peeps wasn't a writer predominantly. I believe he was, like a bureaucrat or something. But he kept a diary which has since become a historical landmark.
And what did he say in it?
What did he say in it? Well, it's again more because it's both well written and it's also an amazing insight into...
A social document
a social
as well.
document, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a social document of that
yours
period.
is a social document, but it sort of revolves around having egg and chips and a calf and seeing a ladybird, which,
But that's today's living. That's
well,
what I'm saying,
but his describes the Great Fire of London, which is what it's most...
Yeah,
it's
but
best
we haven't
remembered
had
for.
one of them. If we had one, I'd write it down. I'm only writing what's happening. The ladybird happened, right? I wrote it down. He was just lucky. He was about in London when that happened.
So you're a little angered that you've not witnessed one of the great disasters?
Because the thing is, if they read your diary, they'd think, well, nothing happened that year. Nothing important in the world happened that year.
Because your diary doesn't just mention... I mean, okay, yes, it does. It fails to mention any disasters in London because we haven't had any, but it doesn't mention any... It doesn't mention any world events. It doesn't mention wars in Iraq, terrorism. It doesn't mention anything.
But that's all being wrote about anyway. If you're saying there's a museum that's keeping everything, there's loads of other books for that. Who's looking at the fella whose skulls fell off?
What?
We see. It's interesting, isn't it?
What do you mean the fellow whose skulls fell off?
Well, that's what happened the other week, so I wrote about it.
What?
A fella's skull has fell off.
What do you mean his skull has fell off?
It's something to do with circulation.
But what do you mean his skull fell off?
Well, it's in the diary.
But how can a skull fall off? Because it's surrounded by tissue and it's got a brain. How can just his skull... How can it detach itself from all the stuff surrounding it?
He mislaid all his dreams.
But all I'm saying is that's not getting a look in.
No, because it's not significant or probably true.
Good point, Steve.
I don't.
All right. Well,
let me just.
I'll just consult the diary quickly and find the moment with the man whose skull fell off. Oh, here we are. Yeah. Looks like the world's fattest man is having an operation to get rid of some of the fat.
Yeah.
He has to have an iron bed because that's the only thing that can hold his weight.
Yeah.
There's also a man whose skull has fell out. He's in hospital somewhere. I hate that. It would make me panic. The hospital is busy with people coming in to look at their head.
What are you talking about there? That tells us nothing. Right, it's impossible for a skull to fall out.
How are scholars in 10,000 years going to be... What are they going to decipher from that?
They can sort of go...
There's not enough incident detail.
But how did his skull fall out?
Circulation problems.
But answer the question. How did his skull fall out? Fall out of what?
He was at home, and I don't know if he was combing his hair or something, but it come off.
What did?
His skull.
What do you mean, his skull? Do you know what the skull is?
It's a part of the head.
Well, no, it's the structure of the head. It's the bone. Do you mean the top of the skull?
This is only useful if you have all the salient facts. Then it would be of interest to us. We could.
Well, I couldn't take that on. I'm busy. I'm not going to start looking into stuff in depth. Just get the details.
Oh, God. You're such an idiot. You are the best... idiot in the world.
Well, I don't want to be premature, but that entry is followed by, I injured my toe the other day by dropping the toaster. Instead of letting it hit the floor, I tried to catch it with my foot. I didn't think I'd done any harm, but my nail looks like it could fall off. I might show it to the doctor when I get me kidney stones out. We could easily get by without nails on the feet. They are more trouble than there were.
You're so wrong. You're so wrong.
I think on the days when cavemen without shoes and animals need nails, I don't think we need them now. I honestly, because you hear about ingrowing toenails, right? So that's a problem. You've got to cut them. Stuff gets under there and gets infected. Get rid of them. You won't have any of that, as long as you wear shoes.
No, you'd have unprotected toes and fingers, wouldn't you?
I didn't say on the fingers, just on the toes.
So why do you need them on the fingers and not the toes?
Because you use your hands to do stuff. I've said about toenail out. It'd be good to have it growing on the head.
What?
Just having like a sheet of it, just like a nail on the forehead. You wouldn't look weird because we'd all have it. I'm not saying.
What are you talking about now?
I'm just saying I don't want to go on about evolution and stuff because we've done it all.
What do you think the skull is for?
No, but I mean on the outside, so that when you bang your head, it's a little bit more protection. Like people. I mean, you're looking at me like that. Why do you wear a helmet on a bike then?
Because the bike wasn't meant to be invented. We weren't meant to whiz along at 70 miles an hour with evolution.
I know, but because life's changing, like you've said.
But you can't go, let's evolve, let's re-evolve.
Okay, let's assume we've got this nail on our head that's growing out of our forehead.
So we look like one big thumb.
Yeah. Which weirdly, Carl kind of, I mean, you can almost imagine it looking at Carl now. You can imagine a big nail there. Does the nail continue to grow? Do we have to trim the head nail?
Yeah, in the same way you get a haircut.
Why is that preferable in your mind to just wearing a crash helmet in instances where you might have something hit your head?
Just because, for a start, helmets, you have to carry them around with you. That's one thing that's put me off having a motorbike. Whenever you see someone on a motorbike, it's all like the clothes they've got to wear. And it's like a big upheaval, isn't it? It's you know, if you have a car, you can get in with your shorts on, your flip-flops on. A motorbike, it's like you're an astronaut or something, and you're only nipping down the road for some milk. Do you know what I mean? So, what I'm saying is get rid
But does it annoy you having to put shoes on every day, and underpants, and a vest, and I don't know.
No, but once they're on, I'm not carrying them. They're on me. If I had to then take the shorts off for whatever reason and walk around holding them, I'd go, I can't be bothered. I don't like holding a bag. I don't like bags. We carry too much around with us now. I don't like carrying stuff. It's just a hassle, isn't it?
It's just endless things he doesn't want to do, doesn't like doing, isn't like carrying bags. Who the hell has a gripe about carrying bags? Why is that a concern?
Because it's stuff that's on you.
I love the way that he wouldn't mind having a nail growing out of his fucking head, but he doesn't want to carry a bag.
What's good with it is, everybody's got one of these.
But it's not going to happen, Carl.
And the most important thing in your body, apart from the heart, is your brain. So protect that, not the toes. The toes we can get by without the toes.
People.
But your head's important, isn't it? There's a lot of stuff in your head. And I know all this just after seeing the Bodyworks thing. I went to see it's a show on where there's a load of like dead bodies and that. And you can see how much stuff's in the body. And there's loads of stuff. There's nothing in there that you don't need. It's all doing stuff. Everything in your body.
We've been telling you that for years.
But you reckon you don't need the toenails?
Yeah, that's on the outside. I'm saying everything that's on the inside of your body, right?
You don't need the appendix.
No, but doesn't that depend on what lifestyle you have?
Well, it's a hangover of when we probably ate a lot more cellulose, and it's.
Yeah, well, they might come back. Things are always coming back, aren't they? So if people start eating them again.
What about male nipples?
Sort of looks all right though, doesn't it? Because the chest is quite plain, so with nothing on it, you'd go, oh, what's this? It just balances it out. I think it looks all right. I think it works. So leave it. But what were we talking about?
But wouldn't you rather have maybe a little like a rib cage around the testicles? Because you get a whack in them and it
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Not an invention, Carl. It's not an invention, and we can't do it. But
would you be able to sit down still? Because that's the good thing with them at the moment, is movement. So it sort of works. But don't they say, they said something about testicles, like the Bodyworks thing.
Well, they're on the outside.
Put yours away, Carl. You're not one of the exhibits.
They're on the outside because they have to be a few degrees below body temperature for the Sertoli cells to
So that's an odd design. That they had to go there, because it's a bit of an odd place to have them.
Where would you suggest? Dangling from the throat?
Sort of.
I want to redesign you, right? You can possibly do this now. This is something you can actually do, probably. You could probably have your testicles anywhere. So where would you want them?
You've got a giant forehead nail.
Yeah. You could have that. It probably wouldn't grow, but we could certainly have that.
I just mean, like, because if all it's about is temperature, you don't want to get them too hot.
Yeah.
Well, they're getting hot down there, you're wearing pants and what have you. So have them nearer to the outside of the body.
Well, they are near the outside of the body.
No, but we wear pants over them. So
you wear pants over them because they're testicles, and polite society suggests that you don't show your testicles.
Yeah, but that's the odd thing, isn't it? That's what's happened somehow, that we've said testicles shouldn't be seen.
Well, then just cut a hole in your trousers. If it's only about, keeping them cool, and because they're too hot, why don't you just hang them out your shorts?
Because there's too many sort of seats that are shared these days, isn't there? But what I'm saying is...
Well, what are you saying? Where
would you put them?
Somewhere like, sort of under the ears. So it sort of just looks like lobes.
So you would redesign your body to have a pair of testicles hanging from your ears?
And when people are sometimes talking, they do sort of mess with their ears, and they're always saying check for lumps. More handy.
Does the penis remain where it is at the moment?
Leave that where it is. Yeah.
Well, I don't know about you, Rick, but I would love to see, perhaps on the web, it's very easy to put stuff on web pages now, some kind of illustration, it could be computer generated, could be drawn by hand, of the new model Karl. Bear in mind, people, that he's got some testicles underneath his ears.
And a big thumbnail on his forehead.
Big thumbnail on his forehead.
Talking to Karl, I want to see Karl's head everywhere. It's the roundness that I like, okay? So, do a viral campaign. Anyone out there with a picture of Karl, just get it everywhere. Because I want, eventually, everyone to, as they walk past him in the street, to shout, "You shaved monkey," or "Look at that bald head," or "Look at fucking coconut face coming this way. You got a head like a fucking orange."
Went out the other night with the lads. There's a few of us, young, free and single.
Must have looked like the Swingers.
Oh, it was pretty. It looked like a boy band had gone out. It looked like,
really?
It looked like, NSYNC had hit the streets.
Right,
yeah. We'd dressed up, togged up, out for a few drinks. A friend of mine said, let's go to a club. Right, I haven't been to a nightclub for a long time, actually. I haven't been.
Is that because your glasses steam up when you walk in out of the cold?
That is a problem in the winter. It's very difficult to make a good impression as you walk in, your glasses steam up straight away, and you got to take them off and clean them and stuff, and then you get a bit
on your white fronts. You pull your white fronts out through the jeans, clean them on that,
or the back of a girl's dress. But we cruised down to the club. It's one of those big sort of super clubs, London super clubs. Never been in one of those, the Ministry or any of those things, so it was all new. And it's a bit of a queue. I think it's a bit of a chore. But we're queuing up, we're in good spirits, we're looking at it, it sounds pretty funky, we can hear the music coming out. Been in the queue for quite a while, 25 minutes.
Forget it, 25 minutes.
Well, yeah, we were pretty excited by this point. The doorman says, hello lads. I said, yeah, we're coming please. He went, no you're not.
Really?
What? He said, you're not coming in. And he just immediately lifted the little rope and sent us away from the queue, right? And we were slightly perplexed, we were dumbfounded, we didn't know what to do, it was like, this couldn't be happening, it didn't make sense. We just queued up what was going on. And so, my friend said, well, we've got to find out why he's not going to let us in. So he goes back over.
I thought you wanted to do. You wanted to tie him up with logic. That'll show a bouncer.
Exactly.
Yeah, show him how educated you are and how you can win an argument and make him look stupid. You'll be in that club in no time.
That's what they appreciate. They love her. Because what they respect is being made to look like a fool.
Exactly.
So we went over and,
they really look up to intellectuals.
Exactly, yeah. So one of our mates goes over and he says, why didn't you let us in? And he went, because you didn't have any girls with you. Now, I'll tell you this. That's kicking you when you're down. Because when you're out on a Saturday night trying to get into a club to meet women, and the reason you're not allowed to go in a club to meet women is because you haven't got any women with you, that's just salt in the wound. It's so humiliating. So, a friend of mine says that there's a VIP entrance over there. And there was like a woman with a clipboard, the guest list. Separate entrance. She said, you've got a little bit of profile, Steve. why don't we try and use your...
You ran home,
celebrity?"
got your Golden Globe and your Emmy.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I always carry, some of my cuttings with me.
Yeah.
And I felt a bit self-conscious about it. I was thinking, I'm not into this, it's a bit awkward. But he said, look, don't worry, you just stand here. Just stand here, just like you're having a conversation. I'll go over, I'll point him out, I'll go, oh, there's, Steve Merchant over there, at the office or whatever.
Oh, God, Steve!
So I thought, well, the thing is, we were out, and I was a bit frustrated, and I thought, we may as well try everything. So I stand there, with my friend goes over, and he has a word, and he comes back and he says, it's fine. She can't let us in the VIP entrance because she's not allowed, but what she can do is walk us to the front of the queue. Right? You can walk to the front of the queue and explain. So I think, okay, fine.
Oh, God.
So the guy takes me and my mates, right, this girl, she takes us, we walk past everyone else, right, to the front of the queue, right? She goes up to the guy, she says, this is Steve Merchant office. The guy goes, I know he is, we're not letting him in.
Oh, God! Oh, God!
By now, of course, some people have recognised me, so they're trying to have my photo taken. So there's people inside the line that's being allowed in the club. I've got to lean across the rope to have my photo taken with them, even though I'm not allowed in the club. So they go, oh, alright, this is Steve there, and the photo's taken, right, camera phones and that. They're going into the club where the party's kicking off. I'm outside waiting for the next chump who wants to have his photo taken. I mean, it was mental. So,
that's unbelievable.
I was furious, and then one guy, I remember he was trying, and he goes, oh, yeah, brilliant, I love the podcast and all that stuff, I love it. Is Karl with you? I said, oh, Karl's not out here. And his girlfriend was with me, she went, who's that? And he went, oh, it's just Steve Merchant, he does the office, he does the thing, and she went, who cares? Who are you, Bruce Forsyth? And it's that thing when suddenly I'm being humiliated and embarrassed by someone's girlfriend. I never asked for that. I never asked for her opinion on me. I'm sorry if I don't impress you, if I'm not sufficiently famous for you, but it's not my fault. It's your boyfriend who brought it up. It was like I'd gone over to her and tried to show off, and she was annoyed. So by now I was just furious.
Oh,
so
God.
I thought, forget this.
Well, I was walking down the street, and there's a group of builders sitting down having a cup of tea. One of them goes, all right, Rick. I went, all right, mate. The other one went, not as fat as on telly. I went, oh, thanks. Not as fat as on telly. So he went with, well, you are fat, but you look even fatter on telly. He didn't say, oh, God, you don't look fat at all, or, oh, you look big on telly, but you don't look fat. Just went with, not as fat as on telly. And there's nothing I could say, but cheers, mate.
Now, when you said cheers, mate, did you say that because you were... Because I'd say cheers, mate, because I'd be a little bit scared of them.
No, I was like sarcasm, and I laughed after. Yeah.
So you can get away with sarcasm with working class blokes.
I'm a little bit more secure with a working class male than you, aren't I?
I'm terrified of them. I feel like they're going to turn on me at any minute.
You don't feel confident, sort of backing in a lorry driver.
Terrified.
Oh, right.
Because if I did, he'd probably lean out and just go and get your dad, mate.
Yeah, not you.
Fuck off. I'm not interested.
Not you. Yeah.
So the final stab is this guy says, there's a party I know of going on, right? Oh, blinking out. So we go down to this party. Right, as we're getting there, as we're about to go in, he goes, now you know it's a singles party. I thought, oh, what? He says, you know it's a singles party. Oh, God. So I go in this party, right, it's all single people, right? Now, theoretically, that should be brilliant, right, if you're a singleton yourself. It's the worst kind of party to go to, because when you normally go to a party, right, and you're chatting to a girl, and she says, oh, I got to go and get a drink or whatever, you think, oh, she's probably got a boyfriend or whatever, or she's with mates, that's fair enough. But when you're at a singles party, and a woman says, I'm just going to go and get a drink, and then you just see her leaving, you realise it's not because she's got a boyfriend or whatever, it's just because she doesn't want to talk to you.
You can't even kid yourself.
You can't even pretend.
Oh,
and you suddenly sense everyone judging everyone else. So you see a girl and she'll look at you up and down, and then ignore you and walk on. And it's like a massive slap in the face. It's like girls coming up to you and going, not interested. Just by being there, they don't have to say anything and they're rejecting you. And so, anyway, one of my friends has been reading this book, The Game, right, by this guy called Neil Strauss, which is sweeping a certain part of the population because it is one of those books written on how to meet women and seduce women, right? And there's this guy called Neil Strauss who infiltrated a sort of secret organisation in America of blokes who've got all these various seducing techniques, right? And one of the techniques which we've been discussing is something called negging, where if you see a very attractive woman, the theory is that she's getting asked out all the time by blokes, right? They're always coming up and saying, oh, you're really beautiful, can I buy you a drink? And that what you have to do to set yourself away from the pack is to sort of not be so obviously complimentary. So you come up and you almost sort of pay her a backhanded compliment, or you almost neg, as they say something slightly negative. So what you might say is you might go up to her and say, oh, I like your shoes, I've seen another girl wearing them in the club, right? And the theory is that she's sort of, she's a bit taken aback, she's a bit sort of thrown off, and then, of course, you start complimenting her, and you start building her back up again. It's very elaborate mind games. I'm not saying it's a good idea, but we've been talking about the neg, and I was chatting to a girl, and I was a little bit drunk, and I wasn't thinking it through, and I thought about the neg because it wasn't going very well, but I don't think you should say to a girl, I think your ears are a bit too big for your head. Because, like, you know what I mean? It's like you can't come back from that. And there's nowhere else to go, because that really is just an insult.
Oh, he's only gone and listened it down the little fucking car.
That jingle, of course, signifying yet another reading from Karl Pilkington's diary. As always, packed with rich insight into the man's mind. Had a late night last night because I stayed up to watch a programme about monkeys.
It's already good.
Of course it is.
It's already good.
Now, before I read on, I mean, is this not some kind of monkey news? Is this not a late return to monkey news?
Well, it's not that good.
Is it not? Whereas the other monkey news is...
Oh, chimpanzee, that's some more shit.
This is what he says. This is what he gleaned from the programme about monkeys. It sat on a bridge and wanted stuff off people to walk over the bridge.
What?
So it was acting as some kind of toll booth,
This
was
is
it?
ridiculous.
No, it was a bridge in like the jungle.
Oh, shut the fuck up.
And it's a monkey that sat on a bridge, and a lot of tourists go through the area.
No, it's a monkey
to look at them.
who realised that if he sits there, he'll get stuff because it looked like it's a cute little chimp begging.
No, but every time.
Yeah, because you give a monkey, I'm as bad as him now. If you give a chimpanzee a banana, and he starts realising that humans have things to give.
Yeah, but it's all
Squirrels
sorts of
learn that. But you don't go, you wouldn't say, went to the park, the squirrel's waiting at the gate. You have to give them a toll to go in. They're only going to give them a nuts. They come up to you every time. You fucking idiot.
Went to bed after watching it and fell asleep thinking about it on the bridge right now. It's a bit bad, really, because the monkey should work harder for its food. It made me remember the slug I saw yesterday that was eating bird poo. Nobody would ever help a slug with food like they do with ducks and monkeys. A slug's life is pretty bad. The only time they come out of their den is when it's raining.
Den.
So even their days out are depressing.
It is. Do you know what I mean?
No.
It is like, it's a horrible thing to be, innit? A slug.
Love him talking about what is it like to be a slug.
No, just because like the monkey, even though it's being quite aggressive, everyone was like, "Oh, give it some water," and it was well like kitted out. It had like chocolate bars, bottled water, some like fizzy stuff, and all that.
An iPod. It was listening to Monkey News.
He could have had one if he wanted one. It was getting away with murder on that bridge, and that's just because it was furry. Yeah, if that was like a blob, like a slug, there's no way people would be that friendly towards it, and it just annoys me how you get this pecking order. For like, no matter what creature you are, favouritism. And that slug was only eating that bird poo because it wasn't being offered stuff.
If it was offered toffees or whatever.
Well, it's just sad, isn't it? It's come to that. That's what its life has come to.
Yeah, but it's not. As mollusk was down on its fucking luck.
It didn't live in a big country house,
No,
and his
but
wife
it
left
is.
it. The kids went and started hitting the ball.
And I kind of thought, and look, they do only come out in the rain, and it's depressing, and it'll probably get killed in a bit. And that was its last meal. I just...
Last meal!
But it wouldn't prefer steak and chips, Carl. It doesn't have...
It must like a leaf or at the end of the day, it's an insect. They love a
It's
leaf.
not an insect.
Well, it's part of that gang. It's part of that... No, it's part of
They
that...
hang out together. They hang out together.
Why do you think it's part of that
Because
gang?
it knocks about in the woods in the same place as a spider does. But what I'm saying is they're eating boring stuff because that is what's
It's
in
not
their
boring
area.
stuff to them. They're not. I have no opinion of it at all. They take in sustenance.
No, but where you are is what you eat. When I'm in London, I'll have beans on toast for lunch. On holiday, what? Tapas? Go on, I'll have a bit. So it's whatever you eat, what's in that area.
Suzanne went off to work and I went to the shop to buy some envelopes. The shop was empty, but the fella behind the counter was on the phone and just kept talking even though he could see I was waiting. I started to count backwards from 20. When I got to 6, he hung up and served me. I won't use the shop again. Question, why count backwards from 20?
So he's thinking, what's going to happen at 1? If I start counting from 1, he's going, well, let him carry on.
What, out loud?
So, not really loud, but like, more of a mouth action, so he could see I was doing it. You know, like
Sorry, you just started miming counting backwards to a man in a shop?
He's on the phone. The
Yes.
shop is empty. I
Yes.
thought he'd like me custom. He could have served me and stay on the phone. Even though I don't like that, at least he's still doing what he needs to do.
I'd have said,
working the
sorry,
shop.
can I just get these, please?
Yeah. Well, I stood there and I thought, it's annoying me now, my kidneys aching, and I started to get a bit of a sweat on. So I thought, right, I'm going to give him 20 seconds, and if he hasn't got off the phone, I'm leaving. And when I got to about 6, he served me. What's wrong with that? Again,
You are
giving
one
yourself...
of the strangest people.
It's just giving yourself a thing. I could have been stood there for
Free.
ages.
He's one of the strangest people who's free to walk
It's
the
about,
streets.
No, I set myself a little target and I thought I don't want to waste another 30 seconds in here, I'll give him 20. It worked. He served me at 6.
But it didn't work. Yeah, but did he do it because you were doing that, or did he finish his phone call?
I don't know, I was busy counting.
Looked at what's been going on in the world. There was a human head attached to a seagull's body in a jar.
Is that all it says?
This is the sort of weird stuff that goes on behind surgery doors. I doubt it ever flew because the head would have been too heavy.
Well, of course it wasn't. It didn't happen. It wasn't live.
No, but they try this stuff, don't they? That's like that programme I watched with a
Well,
monkey's head
who
on.
has ever tried to put a human head on a seagull's body?
They've done loads of stuff like that. It's part of us moving on, isn't it?
What are you talking about?
I'm not going to
Carl?
get into an argument about
Well,
science
you're
because
wrong.
it's all
Don't
behind
talk
closed doors.
shit.
How do you think we can change a heart now from another body? You have to try things out. It's trial and error. All sorts of weird stuff goes on in hospitals, but we let it happen because it's to help us out in the long run, isn't it?
But what are they aiming towards when they're going to find out if you can put a head on a seagull's body? What is that? What are they want to learn, and how do they want to apply that knowledge? A new heart. It is obviously for a reason. It saves a life.
Yeah,
What is this to save money on transport? Instead of getting a bus pass, you go, can I put my head on the seagull's body? I go, well, it won't work. Well, try it.
Yeah, but there is odd things like that. Like, I saw a fish the other day, right? And honestly, it's the weirdest thing. It was just like a blob with a face. Now, I would never have said, yeah, let that swim about. I'd have killed it from day dot. I would have gone, get rid of that.
Oh, God! Under what circumstances would you have killed that from day dot?
I'm just saying, looking at it, I'd say that does not work. And it looked sad. It looked like it didn't want to be about.
Have you got her number?
Oh, God! Oh, God! Well, that's it for another week. The end of episode 5. One more to go in this series of 6 with the Ricky Gervais Show. We'd love you to buy Karl's book because it is genuinely interesting and funny as a just as a social experiment to see that it proved Karl's theory wrong that a monkey can write a book. So it's bye from me, Ricky Gervais. Goodbye from Steve Merchant.
Goodbye.
And goodbye from the little shaven monkey that is Karl Pilkington. Hello and welcome to the last in this series of 6 of the Ricky Gervais Show with me, Ricky Gervais, Steve Merchant.
Hello.
And Karl Pilkington.
Alright.
Carl, as you're aware, you've obviously got many celebrity fans. David Bowie is a fan, people involved with creating The Simpsons. And you've also got a new fan, Warwick Davis, who is the short actor that many people will see in films like Return of the Jedi. He also is in Harry Potter. He's 3'6", and Ricky and I worked with him recently on extras. And far from asking us about the many celebrity names that we've worked with, the only person he was interested in talking about, of course, Mr. K. Pilkington.
He wanted to meet you, Karl.
Yeah. Well, is he all right to get on with?
Why wouldn't he be?
just because sometimes when people aren't normal, it's just...
Sorry?
No, I just mean when someone... Like, I've met a few little people in my time. The one that I met a little fella once, and he was alright. He got drunk really quick. But he was alright, but it took me by surprise. Only because, like I've said about when I met Steve for the first time, it's only that same thing. And then if I lived with the little fella, I'm sure we'd get on a storm.
What do you mean when you met
There's
Steve?
a TV show waiting to happen.
What do you mean when you met Steve for the first time?
No, we've done it, when he walked in, it just a bit of, he's different. But then, I see Steve every week, and, the same way I say I like watching Elephant Man, from the first time I watched it to the last, totally different. When he walks in the first time, it's like, oh God, look at that. It's a mess, isn't it? When I watch it again, it's kind of like, oh, here he is, here's John. So, it doesn't, things wear off. That's like the world, isn't it? Things don't amaze you as much as you see things and you use things often. And it's the same with the little fella you're talking about. First time I see him, I'd be a little bit like, oh, what do you say? What shouldn't I say? Whereas once you get to know him, I'm sure he'd be a lovely little fella.
I don't know where to start, Steve.
Well, Warwick, I think, suspected as much. He's offered you an interesting fact, actually. You're wearing headphones now. Apparently you wear those headphones for just 1 hour, and it will multiply the amount of bacteria in your ear by over 700 times.
But why is he worrying about that?
Well, he's not worrying about it. He thinks it's of interest to you because you're wearing headphones. It's part of your profession.
You wear headphones, yeah.
But Warwick asks, really, what are your thoughts on short people, particularly in entertainment? Because, of course, they've, throughout the ages, made an appearance, particularly in fiction. Tom Thumb, of course. The Oompa Loompas.
What do I think of them?
He's just wondering, I suppose, what your take is.
They're alright. I mean, when I was on jury duty, when you go in the morning, you have to go into a big sort of waiting room, and every day I'd sort of see one pop in, and he'd be sort of struggling getting on the chair, and it was kind of something to watch. It was different. That's what's good with things in life. If you look at stuff and you go, oh, look at that, and seeing him struggle on the chair, he was happy. He wasn't struggling in a way that he felt uncomfortable. He'd obviously climbed a lot of chairs in his time, and this was just another one. And watching him, it just makes you think. You go, I should appreciate that I don't have that problem every time I have to sit down and what have you. But I don't think it's that bad. If I had to pick being really tall or really small, I'd go for the really small one because, the world's a more interesting place for him, isn't it? Everything's bigger. Do you know what I mean? We go to New York and go, wow, look at this. And they go and they go, oh dear. Do you know what I mean? Everything's a lot bigger. Everything's more amazing. Food portions. Everything's a bonus. So out of the two, I'd be small, and maybe that's what I'd chat to Warwick about for a bit, just to get to know him.
Brilliant.
It's a shame in a way that he's not been able to pop in. I'd like to hear that conversation.
But I've got, speaking of like weird stuff and that, I've got a new...
Well, we weren't, but go on.
No, got a new book. Do you know I had that Freaks book? Top 50 Freaks. Got a new one sent to me.
Really?
Yeah. And do you know, like, everything normally has a name. So, like, if it's the two-headed fella, they're all nicknames like that, aren't they?
They've got two nicknames, I imagine.
But this new book I've got, right, on the cover of this one, it's got, like, a woman with 3 breasts, right? And she's called the three-breasted woman, as you'd expect. And there's what else was in there? There's a fella, the one face.
Why is she posing nude though? That's what I want to know.
Showing off. It's not the worst disability, is it?
Well, just 'cause you've got 3, it doesn't mean you have to get them out for the lads, does it?
Tart.
I know.
Well, she looked happy. And there was a fella with like one face but 2 bodies.
Doing one face but 2 bodies.
One face, 2 bodies.
What do you mean one face, 2 bodies?
Surely you one head, 2 bodies.
Head as well, but it was mainly the face that was weird because he looked fed up. He sort of,
What are you talking about? How
What
can
are
you
you
have
talking
a face
about?
without a head?
How can you have? What do you mean? How did it join to the neck?
No, it did have a head, but the fact is, it was weird that it had one face to me.
What do you mean?
Well,
if you've
of course
got one
he had-
head, you'd
yeah.
have one face.
Yeah, I know, but it was the fact that he had one face and two bodies that I didn't think.
But
one
why do
head-
you keep saying one face and two bodies as
Why
opposed
not
to
one
one
head?
head and two bodies? We're all the man with one face.
Yeah, but now I've got one body.
Yeah, well, surely he's the man with two bodies then. Again, the description.
Roll up, see the man with one face.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
He's just got like a face and then one neck, and then it splits off into two bodies. It's really weird.
it
Honestly, it's
doesn't.
weird.
it-
It was ages ago.
Well, no. No, it doesn't happen.
So it's full of stuff like that, right? And what I'm saying is that fella, you know, the one-faced man, the three-breasted woman.
He wouldn't be known as the one-faced man, is what I'm saying.
Well, they've all-
that
they all-
isn't the peculiar thing about him.
Yeah, well, they all had names like that. But
Right.
there was one thing in it that didn't even have a nickname. It was so weird.
What do you mean?
It was it just said unidentified.
What does it look like?
Sort of testicles for eyes. That's. It just reminded me when you
What
talk
do you
about
mean
strange.
testicles fries?
And what is it? Did he have a normal body?
I didn't even look at that.
Oh,
No,
so
that's what I'm saying though. You're attracted to the oddness of the thing, and that's what I was saying about Warren when he walks in.
Warwick.
You know, it'll be odd for a minute, and then I'm sure
For him it will be, yeah.
He'll get used to you.
you know. I mean, like I've said, I'm surprised that things like that don't happen more, because especially after being in hospital and seeing how the body works and that.
You
How
have no
does
idea
it-
how the body works.
No, honestly, I've got me
Right,
head round
you
it a
have
bit.
no idea. You've learnt nothing.
I've got me
You've learnt nothing since the age of 7.
I've got my head round it a bit more, and the way that there's loads of people in the world, and yet you don't see people with like dangly eyes more often. It amazes me.
I love the fact that he's amazed by not seeing freaks.
Yeah.
It's incredible. He's walking down the street going, oh, everyone's got one head. That's
Yeah.
weird.
Suzanne, see any dangly eyes today? No, me neither.
It's weird, isn't it? What's going on in the world?
Warwick's not been the only correspondent. We've had a number of people. Remember years ago we used to encourage people to send in questions, and those questions have been drifting in ever since, really. Just things that people want to throw at you, see how your mind works. Carl, do you mind answering a few? I suppose you might loosely term these philosophical questions, or at least questions that might help you think, ponder on some of the bigger ideas.
This is your forte, Carl. Philosophy, isn't it?
Question 1. Carl, are all men born equal?
Well, we've talked about Warren.
Warwick?
Say if like the pillow man, right, the fellow with no arms and legs, if everyone was like that, he wouldn't be. That wouldn't be a disability. He'd be equal to everyone else, wouldn't he?
When someone fights for equality, it doesn't mean they want to be treated literally the same. For example, it's usually about a prejudice, isn't it? Or a lack of opportunity.
Yeah.
If you were... just to think of equal opportunities in terms of a job.
Yeah.
If you needed someone for a lookout on a lighthouse and a blind person went along, they couldn't do the job. Whereas if it was listening for stuff and you didn't give it to the blind person because you were worried about, blind people, that would be imposing a prejudice because he could hear as well as you. So if he was the best for that job, he should get it, despite his other disability.
But I'm pretty sure, yeah, your ears are important in a lighthouse.
I'm pretty sure he's come down on the wrong side of the argument, Steve.
Keep going.
Go on.
No, I just want to hear that, you know.
I mean, if they want to go for any job, go for it, but then don't moan if you don't get it. That's all I think.
Is that your equal opportunity statement?
That's your statement.
Well, I don't take anyone on, so I don't have all these worries, but I'm just saying, if I was in charge of that lighthouse and the deaf fella turned up, was he deaf or blind?
Well, it depends. I gave you
There
two
was one of each.
scenarios.
There was a deaf guy and a blind guy.
And no one else. I'll put another advert in.
Okay, well we've got another question here, which I suppose in some respects is along the same lines. Do you believe in the notion that history is written by the victors, and consequently
Well, don't tell him what the upshot of that is.
No, I was going to say, and consequently, what does that mean?
Yeah, sorry.
And consequently, what does that mean for history as we understand it?
Just that stuff's written by the people who won it, type thing.
Won what?
Won whatever they did.
But what yeah. But
Well, if it's a war, the ones who won it wrote it. But
Yeah.
of course you're going to do that. That's what you do, isn't it? You shout about it if you win something. If you lose, you go, oh, don't talk about that, it's depressing.
no, doesn't mean that at all.
Because they're not around.
Well, it means very often if someone has conquered a nation or set up a dominance somewhere, that they keep an eye on what goes out, what's propaganda or whatever, or what's taught in schools,
But it's even more significant than that, because it comes down to the very, very minute pieces of information that we see in every walk of life. Prior to black people having their freedom when they were slaves, history, or the history of black people, was not being written by black people. Therefore, it was always seen through white eyes, which often explained, justified, or excused, or dismissed, or didn't even mention many of the abhorrent things that happened. So it's hugely significant.
I suppose you can bring out 2 books. There's loads of books, isn't there? I brought one out. If I can get one out, let the losers bring one out. Is what I mean. Just let everyone have a book, and then you decide. Let people decide which one they want to read. I think they did it with some story where it was like you decide the end.
Okay, that was largely a pointless exercise, wasn't it?
He's got no idea. Karl, do you believe that the future is fixed? Do you believe that your life unfolds as a matter of destiny?
I've heard something about this, where there's some system that it is laid out for you. And even if you want, say if I wanted chicken for my tea, I really fancy having chicken. But when I get to the supermarket, the fella goes, we haven't got any chicken, you're having beef. They say that was already laid out for you, and that day you were having beef. No matter what happened.
Fatalism. There's a slightly more attractive theory called determinism, where they say it's not
that's
so much.
If you want chicken, you'd go to the next supermarket and you'd go, well, I'm going to find it.
It doesn't mean it doesn't mean you're determined in that sense. Like you're definitely going to have chicken tonight. It means that it was determined, as in predetermined. But all determinism basically says is that it's not whether you can choose. It's whether you can choose your choice, because it's to do with brain states, and we think we have the illusion of free will because you go, oh, I have a drink, oh, I fancy Coke, but something in you happened that meant you wanted Coke.
Well, this is weird, right? Because do you know how I've been in hospital, having me kidney stones done and what have you? Well, as they do in hospitals. And this is why I don't like going in them.
Did I just try and explain determinism to Karl Pilkington?
Yeah,
I
didn't want to stop you, but
I mean, what am I thinking?
It just made you look more of an idiot than
I
him.
know exactly. Yeah, I feel stupid.
But I'm in hospital, right? And like I've said to you, the annoying thing is when you're in hospital, they didn't just have a play about with the kidney. Whilst they're there, they're fiddling about with other bits, right? And they're like, oh, let's have a
That's
feel.
libelous.
No, but that's what they do. Whilst you're in, let's have a prod about. They took some blood, right? And they said to us, now the weird thing is, these kidney stones you had, it was probably caused by too much calcium, right?
That's what they are. They're a calcium build-up where you're not flushing it out, and so it's...
Yeah. Now, the weird thing is I don't like having cornflakes. So what I'm saying is, what you were just saying there is your mind or whatever. I've asked you before, I don't know what's in charge, but say like...
You don't, do you?
Say like when I get up in the morning, normally Suzanne will have some Rice Krispies, and she's like, do you want some? Right? Just have some. And I'm like, no. Now that isn't me saying no. That's the calcium, that's my body going, I don't need any milk, don't give me milk, I'll have a crumpet.
Now bear in mind, Rick, that in the space of 3 minutes, we've gone from your definition of determinism to him having a lovely crumpet for breakfast. There's no one else in the world you can have a conversation with where you can make that distance that quickly.
But it is interesting how my body... Have you ever had it, right? Sometimes I can go ages.
No, your body lied to you, because your body said you don't need water, you don't need water, you don't need water.
No.
Oh, yeah.
Like today before I left, Suzanne said, what do you want? Straight away I said, I need some leeks. Now... that operation I've had has obviously taken out whatever the leaks give me. I'm lacking on that.
See, I think he probably has it more than the rest of us, because I think he uses his subconscious more than us. We think about stuff. He is like the leech that is going on chemical memory. Yeah.
Oh, he's only gonna rain it down.
That jingle there signifying, of course, once again, another reading from the diary of Karl Pilkington. Now, of course, for those of you who have not been keeping abreast of Karl's medical complaints, just bring us up to speed, Karl. You had to go into hospital this week, because previously you'd had...
I've been in and out, honestly. I've been in and out of that hospital, just with kidney problems, really painful and what have you. And,
he had kidney stones, alright?
No, but seriously.
Monday. I had a bit of a lie-in today, because I have to get up early for me operation tomorrow. Not only have I got to have tubes shoved up me knob, but I also have to get up at 5:50. Suzanne said I could have what I want for my last dinner. It's not your last dinner, you're going for an operation.
Yeah, but you can't take things for granted these days.
Oh,
I had shepherd's pie and peas. Suzanne made it from scratch. As nice as it was annoying. 'Cause making stuff from scratch means loads of pots, and it's my job to do the washing up. So much as the food was nice, there was loads of pans and that. People who get their last dinner on death row don't have to wash up. Got up at 5:55. You were supposed to be getting up at 5:50 on the other page. You were 5 minutes late getting up.
He's often late.
Often late.
No, just because I needed to have water. Before 6 o'clock, they said, don't have anything after 6.
We'll get up at 5:50 then, like you were planned to. You have 5 minutes sleeping.
Doesn't take 10 minutes to have water, though, does it?
Well, why did you say 5:50 in the first time?
Because then it tricks me head, doesn't it? Going, I had an extra 5 minutes.
Tricks me head. 'Cause then it tricks me head.
It got to the hospital and had to wait in the waiting room. There was another 9 people in there waiting to be sorted. I got called in. They sat me on a bed and took all my details down. 5 minutes later, I'd been knocked out. I got woke up when they were ripping a pipe out of my throat. I felt more rough this time. The doctor came to see me and said he couldn't find a stone, so I must have passed it. I said, are you sure? He said, yeah, we filled your kidney with water and expanded it, and there was no hiding place. I sat in the recovery room for an hour while they found me a bed. One of the fellows who was sat in the room with me this morning got wheeled in. They couldn't wake him up. All the nurses were laughing because he didn't want to wake up. I bet they were laughing at me when I was in the theatre. Someone told me they totally strip you when they're operating. I would have looked like the alien on the Boswell incident.
Boswell! Boswell!
It's quite a nice analogy if it weren't for the fact that you said Boswell.
It's
the Roswell incident. Didn't sleep much through the night because there was a 60-year-old fella shouting at the nurse about his pillows. I don't think I slept through a full hour with one thing or another going on. My bed was next to the toilet, so I kept hearing the flush.
How do they sleep in hospitals, though? They wake you up to give you fucking sleeping pills and things, don't they? How do you sleep in there? It's always hot. It's always like 90 degrees.
There's no air.
Is that to make you drink water?
I don't know what it is. There's no air. There was an old fella across from me who kept breaking wind. He didn't even try and cover it. He was just of that age where he didn't care. Just like, that's what I do. I'm in the hospital, leave me alone.
What do you mean?
Just, I don't know what was wrong with him. I talked to him because at first I felt sorry for him. I was a little bit like, you know, he's had no visitors. No one's calling him up, so I'll talk to him. But then he got that familiar with me that he'd just be doing it whilst I'm chatting to him. Just like he's my granddad or something. It's just like, oh, that's what he does. It's like, well, I'm ill as well. Stop doing that. Honestly, unbelievable. He didn't even try and cover it with a cough. It was just like, that's...
With a cough! How would you cover it with a cough?
Just non-stop.
Got home and sat down. My pains are coming back, but the doctor said this would happen and that my insides are still in shock, so I need to take it easy. It's 9 o'clock. I'm in agony. I can't do the diary for the rest of the day.
Jesus.
So you may as well just tell us then what happened.
Right, well, yeah, after that, went back in. Suzanne just got frustrated with me because I was rolling about on the floor and she was trying to watch Arthur, right? So that was on the other night.
I thought it was when you lodger.
So,
And she said, look, if you're in pain, do something. She said, you know...
You went and got a cold plate.
Yeah. No, use an ashtray. Plates are for liver damage.
She said, right, come on. Let's, she said, I can't put up with this. It was like 2 o'clock in the morning. So we'd left the flat and what have you. Got in a taxi. He filled up on the way, which was annoying.
He didn't.
That
He
is
did.
cheeky.
That really, I mean, he could
On
see
the
us
way
in
to the
pain.
hospital.
So,
Because he's not an ambulance driver.
Did you explain that to where you
no,
were going
I
to?
was in that sort of thing where you just can't be bothered. Do you know what I mean? I was in a sweat and
He
stuff.
came back with a scratch card and some barbecue.
briquettes, yeah.
So anyway, he gets us there and he doesn't charge us, which is pretty decent of him.
That's all right, yeah.
So I go in, and there's like, I don't know if you've been in like A&E at like
Grim, I imagine.
2:30 in the morning. It's
Oh.
just depressing. Fluorescent light doesn't help because it makes everyone look iller than they actually are. So in there was a woman who was just sat there crying. She wasn't holding onto any part of her body. She was just sat there whinging. And when you're feeling bad, you've got that going on. So you just want to tell her to shut up. There was a fella who was like moped over in a wheelchair that someone had just chucked in.
Moped over.
It looked like somebody had just sort of found him and wheeled him in.
Nurse? Who's the guy moped over?
So this gay fella came through. And,
How do you know he was gay?
just the way he was. I'm not having a go. He was a good fella. Do you know what I mean?
A doctor, you mean?
No, he was a nurse.
Right.
And he came through and just sort of went, "Oh, how are you?" And I was like, "Oh, I've had better days." So he got
As
me
you
on
mentioned in the diary, I remember the first time when I came here, they said the nurse might put a tablet up my arse. I thought the chances of that happening had just increased.
Oh, Carl!
Yeah, but I would have let him do it. Honestly, I was that sort of out of it. That
Of course you'd let him do it. He's a qualified nurse.
No, but the way I am now, say if it was just a tablet for sorting out my blood pressure, and I walked in there and he went, "Oh, hello," and he said, "Yeah, let's pop that." I'd go, "Hang on a minute." But what I mean is that night I would have just let him put 3 up. Honestly, it's just weird, isn't it? How your body just goes, let him get on with it, and you trust anyone, don't you? When you're in that much pain and you need
And
help.
they're a qualified nurse, yes.
They gave me some morphine, and my sort of head caved in again like last time, and then the pain went. But anyway, just turns out that I'd had a load of like blood clots in the bit from my kidney to my bladder, and that was acting as a sort of a stone again.
No, it's just,
So
it's
that's
just
what-
a scab, isn't it, where it's curing it? So.
No, but all the work, when they blew up the kidney 4 times its normal size, so there was no hiding place for the stone.
Yeah.
So when they did that, it caused a lot of blood. It must have ripped the sides of it and stuff. And then that blood was in the kidney, and it went down the pipe and blocked it up a little bit. And that's the pain that I had. It was sort of, had problems getting through all this thick blood that they caused. So, the weirdest thing that happened when I was in there, right? The morning, like, after I'd had the morphine and what have you, right? I slept pretty well. But I woke up and you have like a telly for your own bed. That you're allowed to use if you pay for it, right? So the glow from that woke me up because they come on at about 7:10, and the telly's in front of your head, right? So you're getting this glow and you're going, "Oh, what's that now?" And I looked at it, and all it had written on it is, "Karl received bad news about your father," right? And I was like, "Is this what they do now? Because it's such a big hospital. Do they just text you sort of news to your bed?" And I was kind of like, like I say, it was early, it was 7:10 or whatever. Thinking, what's going on? I didn't have my mobile. Suzanne took that. And I was looking at it, I read it again, I thought, it might come up with more, like, what's up with him? Turns out it was just a review for Neighbours. It just tells you... it tells you what's on the telly that day. And there's some fella in Neighbours who's called Carl, whose dad went bad. So that sort of woke me up a bit. I had a bit of a shock then. It was kind of like... So I was wide awake at like 7:15 in the morning because my heart went a bit fast because I thought something had happened to me dad.
Karl, of course, has written a poem about the experience entitled My Ward.
All I've done here, I've been through I don't know what the word is, a bad experience.
Trauma.
A trauma, yeah. I've been through a load of trauma. So I'm just finishing it off with a little sort of picture for people
Go on then.
in my ward. It's called my ward. Me, a Chinese fella, and an old bloke who looked like Mr. Burns from The Simpsons. Don't know what was wrong with him, but breaking wind was the symptoms. No one visited him or called him. He seemed quite lost to me. as well as wind problems, he had a colostomy.
Bang.
When I left, I said, see you to the old man. Turned out the other fella wasn't Chinese, he was from Japan. I never found out what was up with him. You've got a little picture there, haven't you, of me sat in my ward. I'm sat there with that fella who I didn't talk to, the old fella who had wind problems. And that's what a poem is, isn't it?
But the detail about you thought he was Chinese and he turned out to be Japanese, how is that evocative? That's just a piece of misinformation.
It's just
I like it.
I imagine a lot of people make
I
that
like
same
it, because
mistake.
you know why? It's like, he even makes digressions within his poem.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like, he could have gone back and erased that, but he didn't. He left that digression in, and I think that's great.
It's very honest.
Yeah. So, you know, you've done quite a few bits there from the diary, right? The other week you were saying a diary to sort of be famous and what have you, it's got to have a big event in it. That's a big event in my life, right?
Mm.
Peeps did a diary that had big events in it. You said about the fire on Pudding Lane. I've had a kidney stone here.
You write about puddings you've had.
So, is that as big as... Is that a proper diary thing?
It's a proper diary anyway.
I think, personally, the 5 or 6 pages you've written about your ill health are genuinely interesting, and I'm sure, in years to come, it will be an interesting evocation of the NHS at this modern age, and how it is, what it's like to be in hospital.
What other diaries are out there?
Well, a lot of them are fictional, of course, Bridget Jones and the like. There are lots of memoirs, but to
I
publish a
don't
whole
know
diary,
why.
I mean, you can
Well,
get...
the two most famous diaries, I'd have thought, was Pepys and Anne Frank.
But
Yeah.
Kenneth Williams' diaries were published after his death. Many celebrity diaries have been published. Alec Guinness, people like that.
And is that just their last year, or did they do it when they were doing a lot? Because
Oh,
if
yeah.
they're old and sort of not working well, a diary isn't that good.
Well, often the moments, you know, prior to their passing are some of the most interesting. You see their final thoughts and final days.
Yeah, but you say different things when you're ill. When I was on that table about to go under and you're thinking this might be it, different thoughts on the world. Do you know what I mean? Different priorities.
What's the most profound thing that you thought that, you know, it was because of your illness?
Just as I went under, the last thing I said to this woman was, "Oh, you look different with that on." And
Oh, you look different with a hat on.
yeah, it was the woman who gave me the injection, and she'd been round to the bed beforehand, sort of saying, "Right, you're allergic to this. Can you eat strawberries?" And I was a bit like, "Why are you asking me that?" And she went, "Well, no, a lot of people are allergic to strawberries." And I was saying, "But is there any trace of strawberries in the stuff?" And she's like, "No, it's just that a lot of people are." And I said, "Well, no, I eat them." And then she's like, "What about fish?" And I said, "I like some, but I haven't had them all." And and then she turned to Suzanne at that point and said, "Do you know of anything he can't eat?" She sort of said,
like turning to the mother.
Yeah.
When the child can't answer.
but she was this woman, and she didn't have a hat on or anything. And then when I went down there, I didn't realise it was the same woman until I was lying there and she started to inject me. And I just said, "Oh, you look different with that on." And then I went out, and when I woke up, the woman sort of came round and just sort of said, "Oh, it's weird that was the last thing, like you said." And that made me think that could have been my last, you know, like fighting on the beaches or whatever. That could have been my little thing.
You look different with a hat on, Karl Pilkington.
Oh, God.
In its own way, it's quite wise. People do look different with hats on.
I think his last words would be something like, "Can this kill you?"
Yeah. Suzanne, can you drink bleach?
So that's it. That's the end of this series, the 3rd series of the Ricky Gervais Show. We'll have to give it a rest for a while, won't we?
I'm exhausted.
Thank you, everyone who bought the series. All 24 episodes we've ever done are available on iTunes. So, yeah, if you haven't heard them, maybe we should do a free one now and again over the coming years. Should we retire from podcasting and audiobooks? We've made our point, haven't we?
I think we've made the point, yeah. I mean, you always leave them wanting more. And let's be honest, we passed that long ago. So, we may as well stop now, as good a time as any.
So let's never say never, but for quite a while, it's goodbye from me, Ricky Gervais. Steve Merchant,
Goodbye.
and Karl Pilkington.
All right.
Oh, chimpanzee lap monkey news, you little round-headed...
Right, years ago, people only drank water, didn't they?
How long ago are we talking?
Going back a bit,
Okay.
and it was just the norm. Everybody was happy with that. It was kind of like, you know, what, you're thirsty, yeah, have some water. It was just what you did. And it was more of...
Well, no, not only water.
No, it was. It was kind of like...
Well, they drank milk at birth, didn't they?
Yeah, as a baby. But then you don't have that when you're older. What I mean is more now, as we've discussed, is more of everything. So
I thought there was fruit juices in.
yeah, but what
stuff.
I mean, when people were thirsty, it was like, well, have water. They didn't go, what do you want? Do you want this? Do you want that? I'm just saying they had
Yeah.
it for a purpose as opposed to something for the taste buds. Right?
Yeah.
So anyway, so this town, right? It was in the middle of nowhere somewhere.
It's the detail that makes the story,
Yeah.
isn't it? The pinpoint accuracy of detail. So it was a while ago, and it was in a town somewhere. Brilliant.
In the middle of nowhere.
And what used to happen is barrels used to appear, right? These sort of, do you know, like how they have wooden barrels that beer and that comes in?
Right.
One of those used to just be in this village, and everyone who lived there was used to this sort of drink that used to crop up, right? Well, because they were used to it, they didn't question it. It was kind of like, yeah, it's what happens if you live here.
Sorry, so I don't understand. So what's in the barrel? It's a barrel in the town square.
Well, it's this drink.
And so it's not water.
It's not water.
It's a mysterious other drink.
Well, I'll tell you now. It's like a fruit drink.
Okay.
And back then, I mean, I speak to my mum, and she didn't have a banana till she met me dad, and they were made up of fruit.
Sorry, is that some euphemism?
I don't know what that means.
No, but what I mean is,
Was he came a-calling with a banana?
No.
With a bunch of bananas and some flowers.
no, but what I'm saying is, it was like a fruit drink, and for years and years, people didn't drink fruit. It was an eating thing. Do you know what I mean? It was
an eaten thing.
It was an eaten.
Yeah,
What, near Windsor?
it was. You're thirsty, have some water. What, you're hungry? Have a banana, have an orange.
Sure, but
whatever.
the idea of combining the two, crazy.
They never used them in that way. So anyway,
So a mysterious fruit-based drink is turning up mysteriously in this town for years. No one questions it. No one thinks. They
yeah,
just
just
think
because
fine.
it's in that area. I'm sure, like in
Here
the same,
come the little man.
no,
Lilt.
but in the same way that in Scotland they'll have fried Mars bars and that.
Yeah.
They don't bat an eyelid at that. Yet when we go there,
Well, no, they didn't appear mysteriously.
They
Did they?
didn't just appear one day.
I assume they go to the newsagents, then take it home and pop it in some batter.
but what I'm saying is they don't think anything's odd about that. But as time goes on, people have started travelling more, haven't they?
Ooh.
And
You have.
visitors sort of came in to the town, and they were saying, "Oh, I'm a bit thirsty. Have you got any water?" And they were like, "I don't have water. Have some of that in that barrel." And they were like, "What's that?" And they were like, "Oh, it's a drink." So they had it, and it was really like refreshing. And they were like, "What is this?" And they said, "Don't really know. It just crops up. It's,
Of course they did.
No.
it's what
No.
it's what you get if you live here. It's part of living here."
Right.
So they were like, "Brilliant. Do you sell this?" And no, they don't just sell it. We don't even know where it comes from. Just have some whilst you're here.
Don't even know where it comes from.
No.
So the thing
bollocks.
is, this helped the town out.
That's
because,
before the monkey appears. This
'cause-
shit.
Yeah.
So all these people are enjoying the drink. Word gets out, and
Yeah.
it went on for a couple of years, but they say it travels fast, doesn't it? If it's
Yeah.
good, if it's good news, it travels. If it's good news or bad news, it travels fast.
Yeah.
So
But,
news travels fast.
Yeah, just news. Yeah, news does. So anyway, so some
Fucking
business,
monkey news doesn't. This has taken half an hour.
so some big business fella who was on holiday
Oh.
in.
Any specifics?
He was from Chicago,
Right.
Oh,
and
interesting.
he
How
flew
tall
in.
was he?
Hold on, though. So, this is after Chicago was founded.
Right.
Yeah, Chicago's knocking about.
Oh, they had loads of drinks then.
Yeah,
they had
alcoholic.
coffee,
tea,
tea,
yeah,
alcohol.
they had every drink under the sun.
Yeah, but not like
Every drink under the sun.
Not like-
Apple juice, grape
No,
juice,
they didn't.
ciders, wines. Yeah.
So he came
Oh,
in.
if Chicago was founded.
He,
Then,
he came
yeah,
in.
probably
and,
19th century. Oh, there's loads of shit about.
and he was saying, "This drink you've got here, he said, it's good stuff, you know." He said, "Whose is it?" And they said, "Well, it just appears and what have you." And they said, "Well, that's a bit odd." So anyway, he got a bit annoyed with it because he wanted to take it back with him to Chicago. He knew there was an audience for this.
Well, yeah, because they got bored of tea, coffee, all the other drinks
all
that
the
were
other
available.
drinks and that, yeah.
So he waited
Mead.
at night.
They've been around for years.
Waited behind a truck.
A truck. Oh, so it's,
So we're in the motorised age.
Oh, so at least 1890 something. I'd have thought.
And he saw this little fella bring the barrel out.
How little was the fella?
It's hard to tell in the dark, and they were quite far away. And the barrels, you know, it's
Tricky.
it's hard to work out.
Yeah. He was short. His arms were long.
So they followed him in, right, and saw what was going on,
Okay.
like how it was being made, and they said, you know what, we can have a go at making this ourselves. And what happened in the end? They tried to imitate it in Chicago. There was a orangey tang, right?
It was made by an orangutan, wasn't it?
And do you know grapefruit juice? They had like ape fruit juice that they were good at crushing the fruit with the feet and what have you. And that's how them two.
So it was great ape fruit drink.
Yeah.
Which probably got abbreviated over time.
Ape fruit juice.
No, it was great ape fruit drink. It was because it tasted great.
That is a load of shit, Carl.
That is why we stopped doing it.